Are you guys ready? Did someone say gaslight? Never have we ever. Today, we will continue Lord of the Mysteries. For people watching the live stream, it's still the same day. But for people watching the VODs, we're like, no, I lied. Hold up. We're going to retake this intro. We're going to read the finale of Lord of the Mysteries. Volume 2. Faceless. It's so hype. It is so peak aura. You know it, bro. Hold up. We got more aura cooking in the background. Hold up. Look. We got more. Hold up. This hat is actually low-key uncomfortable for a bald man. So we're gonna have to kind of find a hat built with better quality. So we might return this one. Find a better one. But for now, Lord of the Mysteries finale. We're at chapter 471. We finish around the 480s mark, but I think we're gonna finish it today. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I hope you guys are ready for this beautiful, wondrous day. What was that, Unhinged? Before we continue. This is gonna make it to the video. This would be the perfect time to troll everyone and end stream and saying you will come. All right, guys, later. Have a beautiful day. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. Oh, that'd be such a funny, but it'd be so mean. What are the monocle? Guys, you guys have told me to never wear a monocle. Why would I do that? And a handsome gentleman. Thank you. Hey, low key though, I can see myself wearing these, more often, just for fun. Nah, we need a monocle. You guys told me to be aware of them. I don't know if I should trust you guys. But for now, Lord of the Mysteries, chapter 471. Oh, last thing. If you like what you are going to see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. There will be zero crying in this finale. I know we cried pretty hard at the end of volume 1. You ain't gonna see me slipping up in this stream. I'll tell you guys that much. So I hope you guys are ready. Chapter 471. Okay. Klein's preparation. That sounds kind of hype. It's a little hype. Not gonna lie, it's a little hype. Chapter 471, as I update this live, is called Klein's Preparation. Cheek. The goosebumps on Klein's skin surface uncontrollably. Dude, hold up. We said this when we were on our break. If Trissy ends up being pregnant and the primordial demoness is in her stomach, bro, that Cuttlefish is just mean. It is so mean if he does that to Trissy. This shit is so twisted, but I really hope that doesn't happen. But the goosebumps on Klein's skin surfaced uncontrollably as he looked at the beautiful young lady with her misty eyes and furrowed eyebrows. The goosebumps were distinct and were accompanied with cold sweat. At this moment, he felt as if he had returned to Tinkin back to the Bellthorn Security Company and was about to activate his spirit vision to observe Magoose and the baby in her wound. The fear that resulted from his instinct was so clear that it felt like a giant had tightly gripped onto his heart. It's not good. He finally understood that the thing interfering with the gray fog in his divination wasn't a grade 0 sealed artifact or a mystical item of the same level. This was something even more terrifying with... No shot Trissy's pregnant. There was something even more terrifying hidden within Trissy's body. The symbol of the apocalypse, the primordial demoness. No, she isn't the primordial demoness yet. Otherwise, I would have already lost control just by being together with her, turning into a pile of squirming, rotting meat. She's in a very strange state. Trissie's brows eased as her eyes regained their focus, and she looked at Klein, who didn't dare to move at all. She gently lifted her right hand, allowing her slender, white figure to slowly slide down from the side of her body. With a bit of grievance, seduction, and malice, she laughed and said, "If you can inform the Nighthawks, the Mandated Punishers, and the Machinery Hive Mind about this matter, and I happen to meet you before they arrest me, I don't mind letting you know what true pleasure is." Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up. Klein has 0 attachments. Hold up. Chill, bro. Bro's I'm not gonna read that comment out loud. Klein's gaze subconsciously followed the movements of her fingers and all sorts of mind-blowing details. Yo, bro, chill, wait a minute. And all sorts of mind-blowing details surface in his mind. She's a criminal, hold up. They aren't considered big, but they are very firm. What am I thinking? What am I looking at? Is this the oh, he's being alert. Is this the seductive powers of a demoness of pleasure? And knowing the fact that you were once a man, even if you were truly a lady, without having committed many heinous crimes in the past, to lessen the psychological rejection I have, I wouldn't dare to. If you were to suddenly awaken as a primordial demoness, even the fool can't handle that. Klein silently sighed and raised his head, looking at the carriage and the wooden roof on the wooden roof and said, "Do you think that I, an ordinary low or mid-sequence beyonder, would have the ability to escape the pursuit of the royal family? I think they've already discovered that something is wrong and they're about to take action." Tracy felt somewhat smug that Klein didn't dare to look straight at her. She chuckled softly and said, "I'll try to escape and divert the main pursuing force. Although the remaining ones are still very powerful, it's not impossible to deal with them. I believe that you will fight with all your might for the sake of your own life. You have what? You have great hope." We're continuing? Yes, we're continuing. With that, her figure quickly disappeared as if someone had wiped it away with a rag. This was different from Sharon, and it wasn't a return to a normal Wraith state, but a direct form of she has invisibility? Bruh. With that, her figure quickly disappeared as someone had wiped it away with a rag. This was different from Sharon. It wasn't a return to a normal Wraith state, but it was a direct form of visibility. Bam. The carriage door opened and then closed. The sweet fragrance that remained drilled into his nose, and Klein retracted his gaze, his face sinking. I'm gonna lower the volume down just a smidge. We don't want it too loud. Even now, his arms were still trembling slightly as if it had contracted with some disease. If it wasn't for his rich experience, even though he hadn't faced the son of an evil god in the real world with a belly in between them, he who knew what was named Trissy Cheek meant wouldn't have been able to bear the terrifying pressure and would have collapsed on the spot. It was akin to having a rubber band stretched too tightly to the point of tearing. It seems like Trissy still doesn't know what's happening to her body. She also doesn't know the meaning of behind the name Cheek. Klein quickly calmed his thoughts, looked out the window and estimated the distance and counted the time. His spiritual intuition and corresponding experience told him that doing anything in such a situation was better than nothing. Therefore, with the danger being silence in hand, and he was prepared to try his best to save himself. 3, 2, 1. Klein suddenly opened his eyes and snapped his fingers. At the edge of the road, a small fire ignited on the tree with only withered branches left. The flames quickly soared into the sky. Several matches inside his pocket that Klein had intentionally divided up, that burst into flames, and a crimson color engulfed his black attire. His figure disappeared from the interior of the carriage, and he walked from the flames of the roadside. Pa! He kept snapping his fingers on the left hand repeatedly, and his figure constantly flashed through the sparse, withered forest. He rode the flames and rapidly arrived deep in the forest, which couldn't be seen from the outside. That's so cool, dude. He has that ability. Well, it works, I guess. Bro, what'd I miss? Make sure it loops. It's looping. We're good. Then he passed and pulled out the accessory hanging around his neck. He always knew very clearly that there was a hidden element behind the matter. Therefore, for his visit to Red Rose Manor, he abided by the rules of a magician. He had some preparations beforehand, such as separating his matches and carrying a number of mystical items on him. Among the mystical items, the biological poison ball and the sun brooch were involved in the Captain and Wraith's incidents. Therefore, out of caution, he left them above the gray fog. As for the all-black eye, which was left behind by Master Rizongo, it was difficult to get past the manor guards. Hence, it was met with the same treatment. Finally, other than 3 kinds of bullets, purifying bullets, demon hunting bullets, and exorcism bullets of purification, he only brought along 2 mystical items. The first was the master key that allowed him to pass through the obstacles. The side effects of getting lost could offset the dowsing. Furthermore, it looked like an ordinary key, so it wasn't easily discovered. The other items was a key element to Klein's preparations, Edessak's copper whistle. Simply put, when he faced a danger he couldn't handle himself, he could ask for help of a powerhouse. After that encounter, whether I recognize Trissy or not, I am definitely on a kill list. There's a high chance that I've been targeted by 008. There won't be any negative effects getting Mr. Edessak's help. Well, that's if 008 has been behind all the coincidences. Klein raised the cold ancient copper whistle and put it in his mouth, blowing on it. Without a sound, he activated his spirit vision and saw that the white bones that gushed out from the ground floor like a fountain. He saw the nearly 4-meter tall giant messenger take form. It lowered its head and looked at him with the eye sockets burning with black flames. The huge body gave Klein a sense of security. He took out the pen and paper he carried with him and wrote a word, help. Next, he folded the paper and stuffed it into the messenger's hanging palm. After the messenger had disappeared, he put away the copper whistle deliberately on a prayer posture and quickly chanted the honorific name of the Fool. Honorable Mr. Fool, my investigations have borne fruit. The woman Prince Eds fell in love with is the witch Trissy from the Demoness sect. She has already advanced to Demoness of Pleasure, and the upper echelons have changed her name to Trissy Cheek. Damn. After quickly making the report, Klein didn't bother to hide his identity and immediately took 4 steps counterclockwise to head above the gray fog. Then he retrieved the scene of him praying, then he threw it into the crimson star symbolizing misjustice. He tried his best to feign a mocking tone and added in a supercilious manner, that was congruent with the style of the fool. Cheek, heh, that's the true name of the primordial demoness. After doing all this, Klein immediately returned to the real world, ready to run for his life. He had only taken a few steps when his eye suddenly lit up. He subconsciously raised his head and saw several meteors? He subconsciously raised his head and saw several meteors burning with raging flames falling from the sky, tearing through the sky and enveloping the entire forest. What the fuck is going on? At that moment, the scarlet light shone into Klein's eyes, giving him an indefinable feeling he had never experienced, that the person he was up against would send meteorites from the sky to silence him. Bro, what is going on? On a yellowing notebook, a seemingly ordinary... It's Ints again? Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, I gotta breathe, man. I'm gonna forget, dude. Oh my god. Oh shit, dude. On a yellow notebook, a seemingly ordinary... ordinary quote wrote, "For unknown, inexplicable reasons, the Edessak meteor shower..." He just randomly wrote a meteor strike? What the fuck? How strong is this fucking quill? For unknown, inexplicable reasons, the Edessak meteor shower arrived at the planet 2 days earlier. A portion of them just happened to land in the forest where Detective Sherlock Moriarty was hiding. Yes, just happened. Bro, what the fuck? Tuesday afternoon in Audrey's study, the teenage girl who was about to reach adulthood was listening intently as Mr. Escalante explained the connections between the intersection of spectator and telepathist powers within mysticism psychology. Besides her feet, Sissy was sitting there attentively. Suddenly, she saw an endless gray fog and a blurry figure in a prayer position in what appeared to be a forest. Soon after, the words reached her ears: Prince Eds, the Demoness Sect, Witch Trissy, Demoness of Pleasure, Trissy Cheek. Audrey automatically filtered out the irrelevant details and noticed the most important words. So that's the reason the person Eds fell in love with is a demoness. Furthermore, many of the demoness are transformed men. Why do I feel like laughing? Is this why he will bring danger to Backland? Will I have to warn father? But what method or excuse did I use? Audrey tried her hardest to control her expression and gaze, but her mind wandered. It's a reasonable development? Yeah. What a natural conclusion. The American government be like, it's a missile strike. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what they'd say. At this moment, she saw Mr. Fool leisurely sitting at the end of the long bronze table. She heard him say in a gentle tone with a hint of ridicule in his voice, "Check, hey, that's the true name of the primordial demoness. The true name of the primordial demoness, the primordial demoness." As her mind buzzed, Audrey expressed instantly collapsed. What's wrong? As an observant telepathist, Escalante immediately noticed that something was wrong with Miss Audrey. Audrey thought for a moment and didn't hide her concern, and she said, "Miss Escalante, I just remembered something bad. I should have told my parents before, but I forgot. It will lead to a terrible and serious consequences. For example, the destruction of Backland. How few of millions of people who live here, regardless of them being nobles, the middle class, or the poor, will survive." Audrey pursed her lips. Her concern couldn't be hidden in her sparkling emerald-like eyes. Escalante frowned and said, "Will it be too late to do it now? It's better than not doing so. Escalante, please wait for me. No, you should have left first." Audrey entered her spectator state and calmly made her decision. Then she got up and left the study and went into the hallway. Father has gone to the House of Lords. Only mother's at home. But what should I say? Audrey frowned slightly. She didn't slow down, nor did she increase her pace. Next to her were her personal maid and her huge dog Sissy. Gradually, she had an idea. When she arrived at the living room where her mother was, she had already made up her mind. Taking a light breath, Audrey felt an unusual sinking sensation on her shoulders. Then, without hesitation, she knocked on the door. It's so wild that, like, he just wrote a meteor shower. Like, coincidentally, the meteor shower happened 2 days earlier, and it happened to land next to Sherlock Moriarty. That is so wild. All right, chapter 472, Latent Danger. Chapter 472, Latent Danger. We're good? Everything's updated? Yes. Lady Caitlin was sitting on a sofa in the activity room with the deputy butler, butler's assistant, and the attendant of the corresponding services seated opposite her. She was meticulous as she gave instructions of various things to take note for the dinner banquet that night. This continued until her daughter Audrey came to her side. "Mother, I have something to tell you." Audrey stepped her gaze across the other people in the room. On the way to the activity room, she felt a slight tremor, but she didn't discover anything in the meteor shower. Was a tremor? Right? It was the music. She was meticulous as she had gave instructions of various things to take note for dinner banquet tonight. This continued until her daughter Audrey came to her side. "Mother, I have something to tell you." Audrey swept her gaze across the other people in the room. On the way to the activity room, she had felt a slight tremor, but she didn't discover anything unusual. Lady Caitlin looked around and nodded. All of you can return later. The activity room turned silent very quickly, and even Sissy was signaled by Audrey to leave. You should stay by my side more often and learn how to handle matters. Although you don't lack such content of your family lessons, it's still profound knowledge on how to effectively combine theory with practice. Lady Caitlin, who looked to be in her early 30s despite being in her 50s, smiled and educated her daughter. All right, my little angel, what is it? Audrey tried to produce the elegant smile she paced in adequate class, but she found herself with a heavy, nervous smile. She pursed her dry lips and directly said, Mother, I've been hiding something from you and Father. Oh, Lady Catelyn tilted her head, waiting for further explanation. She's like, I'm a beyond her? Audrey's words were a little staccato at first, but then she merely became smooth and fluctuant. I'm already beyond her, the kind of person who possesses miraculous powers by consuming a potion. The blonde lady Caitlin raised her eyebrows lightly and answered without any hint. I know? No fucking way, she knew? The blonde lady Caitlin raised her eyebrows lightly and answered without any hint of surprise. I know. Both your father and I already know. Her father probably knew since the Quillingus assassination attempt, right? I feel like he's always known. Like, I feel like he had to have known. Like, for her to, like, figure that out or be like that, like, coincidental. Okay. Huh. Andrea was momentarily at a loss for us how to continue. Lately, Catelyn covered her mouth and laughed. You took so many mystical ingredients from the vault, and you are so naive to think that your father and I didn't notice. Like, you fucking dumb girl. Of course you're a Beyonder. Why wouldn't we know? Yeah, of course she would know. By your father's side and this villa and the fief of our family, there's no lack of Beyonders. They may be a result of a simple employment relationship, or they may have been assigned by the Church of the Goddess, or they may have been members of the Hall family. His Majesty tactfully agreed to such matters, and we have also tactfully consented to your little adventures. Sigh, you will eventually grow up and mature. Your father and I will never be able to protect you under our rings forever. You will have to face certain matters alone, so having additional powers to aid you as a trump card is good too. Yes, according to the general knowledge that I'm aware of, the initial stages shouldn't be that dangerous. And advancing will require 1 or 2 years, or maybe even 3 years. So your father and I aren't too anxious, and we intended to wait until you became adult to give you a word of warning so that you can stop at your present stage. No, Mother, your general knowledge is wrong. You don't know the acting method. If I have all the ingredients, then I can become a Sequence 7 psychiatrist before the new year. Moreover, I do not wish to stop. The death of Duke Negan has made me understand that the world isn't as stable and peaceful as I thought it was. I want to have the power to protect all of you at the critical moments. Mr. Fool is gradually recovered, and evil gods are making repeated attempts to descend. Although I'm still immature and lack the necessary knowledge, I can sense the hidden, indescribable dangers from these matters. Audrey had always known that she could have avoided the problem of taking beyond ingredients from the vault, but she thought that perhaps by chance her parents weren't aware of the specific effects of those items. At most, they would suspect that she was getting deeper and deeper into her mysticism enthusiast circles. After releasing the burden in her heart, she paid no notice to her mother's extortion and said, Mother, I later joined a secret organization, one that's more academic and doesn't worship evil gods. Please forgive me for not being able to say its name in details, but I already made an oath. Without waiting for her mother to ask, she cut to the chase. I received word today that the commoner girl with Prince Eds has fallen in love with is a demoness. I don't know what kind of ploy they are plotting. The first 2 sentences of hers didn't contain any absolute connection. The former referred to the psychology alchemist, while the source of the latter was the Terror Club, which was Mr. Fool. Through this arrangement of sentences, every word she said was true, one that couldn't be confirmed through divination. However, it would make people believe that her news came from the secret organizations known as the Psychology Alchemists. The smile on Catelyn's face gradually disappeared, and she solemnly asked, Demoness. She didn't know much about the mysterious world, but very few words was enough to make her sense the evil and become uneasy. Audrey quickly nodded. Yes, a demoness of pleasure, and what scares me even more is that her name is Trissy Cheek. What's wrong with that? Her mother asked, puzzled. A member of that organization has seen the name Chink in an ancient book. Audrey said the lie that she had already planned for, whether it was her tone, her words, the details of her expression, or her body language. They were all flawless. In the 4th epoch or earlier, its name that belonged to the primordial demoness. Immediately after, she gravely added, that's an evil goddess. Lady Catelyn didn't understand what the primordial demoness meant, but she knew exactly what an evil goddess meant. She couldn't sit any longer and quickly replied with a question, Are you sure? I'm not sure. Audrey didn't doubt Mr. Fool at all, but she couldn't say openly. No matter what, I think it's necessary to seek the royal family. No, get the Beyonders of the church gods to confirm the matter. If it involves an evil goddess, it's always the right decision to be cautious. Caitlin looked up to her daughter in surprise. Audrey, you've grown up. If they kill her mom, bro, or her dad at the end of this volume, I'm a Ooh, oh my god. If it weren't for your urgency of the matter, Audrey would have pretended to be reserved upon hearing such praise. She would first modestly wheedle, then return to her room in glee. She might even twirl into a dance. But now she couldn't care about all that. She quickly let her worry and nervousness surface on her expression. Mother, can you help me hide the truth? I heard that the Beyonders of the church and the royal families or secret organizations that aren't a part of them. Well, you can say that it was news from which father received. He should have plenty of channels for information. Caitlin stood up and gave her daughter a hug. Don't worry, neither your father or I will involve you in this matter. Your father won't be back until evening. I'll first let the hidden guards appear, pretend to send you a message, then I'll get the Church of the Goddess to send Beyonders to protect your family. Alright. Alright, Audrey replied happily. At that moment, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. She was exhausted from maintaining her prolonged high level of tension. This is getting good. Are you sure? Why are we saying, are you sure? Oh, are you sure? Okay, I get you. I get you. We did an Omni-Man reference. Omni-Man? Wait, no, maybe, no, I didn't get the reference. I thought it was like the John Cena. Are you sure? Looking at the few, looking at the few burning meters crashing down at a high speed and enveloping the whole forest, Klein actually had thought of waiting helplessly for his doom and despair. Even if he continuously used flaming jump, it would be impossible for him to escape the forest and dangerous epicenters before the meteor shower landed. Moreover, the weak body of a Beyonder from the sheer pathway didn't allow the possibility of him withstanding a head-on meteor strike. Even a zombie that wouldn't be wounded by a revolver would immediately be turned into minced meat under such an attack. Moreover, it would become charred black, flaming jump, the yellow-white light shone in the depths of his eyes, quickly giving Klein, who had not given up, an idea. In a situation that was depicted in seconds, he didn't hesitate. He did whatever that came to his mind. What came to his mind? Pa. After silently calculating the distance, Klein snapped his fingers and ignited all the remaining matches in his box. Dude, this is so good. A freaking meteor strike, dude. A streak of crimson red light soared in the sky, quickly enveloping his figure within. Klein disappeared without a sound, appearing in the flames above the meteor. Whoosh. The meteor rapidly descended. The moment he leaped out of the flames, he was away from the meteor's vicinity, entering a region of air within the frightening high temperatures. At that moment, when he used his Beyonder powers to jump, Klein was immune to his ordinary flames, even if his temperature was rather high. However, upon exiting the state, he had to do his best to avoid the flames via flame controlling. Otherwise, he would suffer burn wounds and even burn to death. In addition, the hot air wasn't within his jump range. Klein snapped his fingers again, causing the air at the critical point to ignite. He phased into another flame, trying to avoid the first blast upon the meteor's impact. However, no matter how many times he tried and how many risks he took, he still couldn't escape the danger. There were only two choices: to jump to a point away from the forest and suffer the meteorite's resulting blasts, or to jump around like an acrobatic, waiting for the mushroom clouds to swallow him up. For a moment, Klein thought he could see himself being torn apart, scorching black with flames still burning over his body. A thought flashed through his mind, and his vision suddenly changed as all the colors saturated. The reds became redder and the yellows became yellower and the whites became whiter, just like a strange oil painting. The oil painting seemed to be different from the real world, allowing Klein to watch the meteorite slowly crash to the ground. Wait. The oil painting seemed to be different from the real world, allowing Klein to watch as the meteorite slowly crashed to the ground. That patch of the forest was instantly destroyed and the ground clearly quaked a few times. Plumes of smokes that were mixed with red flames rose up, forming a strange mushroom cloud. Such an important didn't affect Klein because the blast simply didn't enter the superposed still oil painting world. I'm sorry, what is this whole oil painting thing that we're talking about? Can we hold up? This is kind of confusing me. What is going on? I lost my place. Klein was stunned at first before he saw the human figure next to him. The figure had a... Fuck you, is it a Zik? There's only one beautiful ass man with bronze skin. Is that what's going on? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Oh shit, the figure had a bronze skin with a medium build. He wore a long black suit and a half top hat. Yo man, this guy's dripped out. He had a pair of aged brown eyes, soft facial features, and a tiny mole below his right ear. Mr. Zig, Klein crowd out in joy. He finally knew what scene that revealed that he... Oh my god, I can't read. He finally knew what scene the revelation from his divination he made a long time ago corresponded to. Eric corresponded to the present. The sea of blood represented a perilous situation, and being pulled up by Mr. Zick meant me being rescued by him. Just as Klein... How would I be able to piece that together? I wouldn't even be able to figure that out. Just as Klein words left his mouth, Edessak waved his hand, grabbed his arm, and pushed his way through the deep layers of saturated colors. The ordinary-looking quill was no longer writing on its own, as its surface has dimmed a little. The solemn-looking middle-aged man with only one eye grabbed it and quickly wrote as if he was channeling a spirit. It was obvious that Edessak Eggers had yet to recover all his memories and strength. While attempting to travel through the spirit world and the astral world, a latent danger appeared as a result of this problem. Hence, he and Sherlock Moriarty found themselves landing near Inexplicable and his friend. Hold up, wait. So, Mr. Edessak interfered with Inexplicable's plans, and then Edessak sensed that, and he's like, "Nah, bro, I'm gonna write it where now they appeared in front of me and my friend." Is that what's going on? Dude, this is so hype. Oh, snap, dude. Daddy Edessak is back, bro. This shit is so good. What? Oh, my God. This chapter's called Faceless. Let's go, dude. Oh, my God. No, there is no shot we're going to take out this volume. If we literally kill this volume, then the true perpetrator that's been writing the actual story is the one that's writing on its own when the quill is like floating in midair. Like, that has to be it. Okay, chapter 473. Did I even do a timestamp? I did, right? Yes, we did. Chapter 473. It's smoke time. It's time, bro. Chapter 473 is called Faceless. Everything around him was an illusion. The colors were saturated and superposed as they quickly receded. I'm gonna put the volume a little bit louder. As he quickly receded, as soon as Klein came to his senses, observed and experienced this wonderful passage, he felt Mr. Edesakk's hand, which was holding his hand, trembling slightly. Before he could even react, he felt a strong sense of weightlessness. His body couldn't help but plummet as he even began spinning. The colors of red, yellow, white, and black around him faded rapidly, and Klein fell, hitting the solid ground hard. The impact left his head spinning and his internal organs churning. Mixed into his vision were bits of golden stars, and his vision was restored to normal. To his left was a bottomless dark valley that resembled the legendary Devil Abyss. On the right was a wait, let me read this. I'm getting too excited. I'm like reading, but I'm not reading. Mixed into his vision were bits of golden stars, and his vision was restored to normal. To his left was a bottomless abyss, dark valley that resembled the legendary Devil Abyss that we've been talking about this volume. On the right was a gray stone wall that continued to extend upwards as if supporting the entire region. There was no sun, no clouds, and no fog. Some light came from the luminous, most grounding in different places, and darkness and heaviness were the primary tone of this world. I'm sorry, are we in the City of Silver? What is going on? Klein pushed himself up with his left hand and nimbly jumped. He found that the ground beneath his feet consisted of properly paved stone, which could accommodate 2 horse carriages traveling in parallel. It was definitely not naturally formed. No, this is something else then. On the end of the road spiraled down into dark crevices, with the other led to the top. From time to time, it was possible to see the doomed hallways and the halls inside the walls. I'm trying to picture this in my head right now. Hold up. Bruh, why are we saying bruh? Classic Badoon moment? What do you mean? Me when I read with my eyes and not my brain. What do you mean, Rizza? What? Inexplicable literally already debuffed Edessak. He debuffed him. Residential, not the real one. Me, wait, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. This is so hype and exciting. I'm so lost. But we're just gonna keep reading. You guys can explain it, and I will read it right now. So wait. Dude forgot to read and understood at the same time. That's literally what happened. I caught myself reading but not reading. I'm like, wait. This is too exciting, dude. You're doing fine? Okay. Suddenly he had an epiphany. I read it right. Klein raised his... Wait, let me go back a sentence. Klein raised his head, but he couldn't see the highlight point. His vision was completely blocked by the gray stone wall. Suddenly, he had an epiphany. He and Mr. Edessak had fallen underground into the ruins of an ancient civilization. Like the catacombs at the beginning of the series? Maybe? No, right? Is this another area? Oh, wait. Yeah, fallen underground into the ruins of an ancient civilization. Is this another area? Are we still near backland? As soon as Klein thought about it, he heard Mr. Edessak say in a low voice, "Leave here first, head up." Before Klein could understand the meaning behind his words, he saw a flash of light from the side, instantly forming an illusionary door that opened out. An illusionary door. The door seemed to have been made of bronze. It wasn't real enough, but it was usually heavy. On the surface, there were countless strange patterns and indescribable symbols. With a creak appeared in the door. Pale, bloody arms reached out from the cracks, one after another. Isn't this what... I thought this is what the door Sharon summoned. But we're in the underground ruins. Thank you. When it said, like... When it was describing it, I was thinking of like the world of City of Silver, and I was thinking about the abyss and like how Jack got there, like by going through the abyss and whatnot. Okay, so it's not that. They're just in the underground catacombs. With a crack appeared in the door. Pale, bloody arms reached out from the crack, one after another. In addition, there were also greenish black vines. Wait, this is the door Sharon summoned. With baby faces and sleek tentacles with protruding eyes. Yes, it is the door. It is the door Sharon used. It was very similar to the effects of Miss Sharon's mystical item. While he was in thought, Klein noticed the arms, vines, and tentacles were no longer as crazy as before. They have calmed down and struck the ground, completely unlike their former appearance of madly pulling a Sequence 6 zombie into the door. Immediately after, the gap between the door widened and a human figure emerged from it. The figure wore a pure black clergy robe, and his facial... I'm sorry, who is this? The figure wore a pure black clergy robe, and his facial features were clearly and distinct like an ancient classical sculpture. His hair was dark golden color, and his eyes were dark blue, and he had a high nose bridge. No way. Is it Inns? Wait. He wore a bonnet, which was popular with the elderly, and his sideburns were somewhat gray and contrast to his middle-aged appearance. Looking at the figure completely lifeless eye, it's fucking Inzingwo. Klein suddenly recalled the name of the person who had just revived. Inzingwo. No way. Clergy? Sorry. No way. Are we... There's no fucking shot we're fighting him already, bro. Shut up. Wait. Inzingwo, the former archbishop who had directed the Tingen incident and dealt heavy damage to the Nighthawks team, as well as being the owner of sealed artifact 008. Almost at the same time, Klein turned around, following Mr. Zick's instructions, fled towards the top of the road. He knew full well that being a Sequence 6, he would only serve to be a burden and distraction and a clash between demigods. This is so hype. This is so cool, dude. In this race for time, false modesty and pretentious words were unnecessary. They would harm both him and his companion. Tap, tap, tap. As there was nothing he could ignite underground, all Klein could do was grit his teeth and run as fast as he could. While running, he heard Zick's calm and gentle voice. Run all the way out of here. Don't worry about me. I've recalled a lot of things, and I know that I once remained in a particular sequence for a very long period of time. That sequence name is Undying. Yo, hold up. So Undying, we got like this has to be like sequence 4, 5, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know which one it is, but we're getting thank you. We're getting you lore drop. Okay, tap, tap, tap. Klein circled around the cliff and entered a dark doomed corridor. The wall on both sides was engraved with modeled murals. At that dude, thank you. There's almost 8 of you guys here. Holy shit, dude. At that moment, he heard a dignified and hoarse voice reverberated from where he previously was. Teleportation is prohibited here. A figure had arrived besides Inzingwo. Okay, who's the friend? A figure had arrived besides Inzingwo without anyone noticing. He was floating in mid-air in defiance with the law of physics. He wore a gorgeous golden mask. And Inzingwo didn't attack immediately. Instead, he glanced at the bend where Klein's figure had disappeared. Sequence 4, Night Watcher of the Church of Evernight Goddess Pathway, could grant a certain amount of bad luck to others, but Inzingwo... Oh shit, you're right. He became... Wait. This is what he hit, right? When he used Saint Selena's ashes? Okay, alright, I'm scared to see this fight. But Inzingwo, who had just silently blessed Klein, realized that the things like Klein slipped and falling into the ravine didn't happen. Not only that, Inzingwo seemed to be hallucinating as well, as he saw a thin grayish white fog. Oh yeah, because when he hit Faceless, now Klein actually has like gray fog aura, right? So that's why he wasn't able to affect him. Okay. Without having the luxury of time to think, he withdrew his gaze and cast it back to his Eagers. Is it Eagers or Eagers? Tap, tap, tap. Running at full speed. Klein suddenly stopped in his tracks. His spiritual intuition... Oh, I think my stream crashed for a sec, but we're back. Okay, I saw that. It crashed on my end, but I think we're good. His spiritual intuition told him that there were people ahead of him. Beyond, there were most likely the guards here. After contemplating for a bit, he reached out with his left hand and wiped his face. At the same time, crisp sounds emanated from his body as his body grew 7 to 8 centimeters taller. Oh, egg, like an egg. VPN protect. Yeah, he had that NordVPN protection, dude. Klein is like the perfect sponsor for VPN. By the time his left palm left his face, he turned into a single-eyed middle-aged man with a dark golden hair and a high... He turned into Inexplicable. Recalling the other party demeanors, Klein used an illusion to change his clothes before quickly walking around the corners and entering a large hall. There were 4 guards in dark black armor, their gazes keen. Klein's face was calm as he walked over. He deliberately spoke in a hoarse voice and sternly said, "Someone had sneaked in here. I'm looking for him. Did you discover any clues?" The leader of the guards first examined him before lowering his head and saying, "Mr. Zengwil, nothing happened here." Okay, this is getting good. Okay, Klein nodded silently, walked past them, and left the hall. During this entire process, although he remained highly nervous with his back drenching in sweat, he appeared to be calm and reserved. He looked no different from Inexplicable, be it appearance or his aura. Relying on his faceless powers and running speed, he quickly passed through 3 checkpoints and arrived at the end of the building. This is like a freaking scene out of Mission Impossible, bro. When he's wearing the mask. I lost my place. Relying on his faceless powers and running at full speed, he quickly passed through 3 checkpoints and arrived at the end of the building. There was an illusory door formed by the pure ghostly blue light. Apart from that, it was a completely sealed shut. Although he was worried about the demigod battle between Mr. Zik and Inexplicable, Klein remained hidden in the shadows outside the room. He patiently spied for a while and found that something had passed through the ghostly blue light while another person had used it to leave. He noticed that those who... I feel like it's too early for this fight, and we're not done until the 80s, bro. I don't know what's gonna go. I don't know what's gonna happen now. No lag? Okay, but I did see a lag earlier. He noticed that those who had left to show something that looked like a bulge before they could get permission from the 4 guards to enter the door of light. I don't have time to wait for the next person with a badge. I can only take the risks. The battle over here could end at any moment. Even if doesn't, the search order will be sent over here quickly. Klein quickly made his decision, once again walking into the room with the likeness of Inexplicable. Something has happened outside. He had no confidence in mimicking the former archbishop's voice, so he could only express himself with deliberate hoarsenesses as an indication that he had experienced an intense battle. The guards, who were left confused by the news, didn't react until Klein approached them. They reached out their hands to stop him. "Mr. Zengwil, where is your pass?" Okay. This is sad. This is sad. Oh, username. Don't waste any... Mr. Zengwil, where's your pass? Don't waste any more time. As he spoke, Klein pulled out a badge from his pocket and thrust it into the man's hand. This calm performance made the rest of the guards relax. The moment the guard who had received the pass looked down, Klein suddenly lunged forward. Just as he landed on the ground, he quickly did another roll and went straight through the ghostly blue door. Only then did the guard realize that the badge in his palm rapidly faded, turning into a piece of paper. They figured out who he is. On the top left of the piece of paper, there was a rather commonly seen blessing recently. Happy New Year. Look at that. The abyss-like crevice was filled with an illusory pitch-black liquid. Moreover, the abyss-like crevice was filled with an illusory pitch-black liquid. Isn't that what the mural depicted? Moreover, the surface of the water was still bubbling without stopping, and the many pale-skinned arms were widely extending outwards. Zengwil had a general idea of Vic's standards, and he was neither surprised nor afraid, for he was a demigod to help him at the moment. What worried him the most was another problem. 008, which was forcefully developing the story, could backfire on him at any moment. At that moment, he swept his gaze past the corner of his eyes and was shocked to find that the quill 008 had left his pocket without him realizing it. It was floating and had left his pocket without him The quill just left his pocket. To find that the quill 008 had left his pocket without him realizing it. It was floating in front of the gray rock wall, frequently writing line. It's writing on its own. Frequently writing lines. So whoever's using it is... So the true mastermind is writing something. Frequently writing lines of its own. In a fierce battle, there would always be a variety of accidents, such as Zengwil's belt snapping and having his pants drop. What the fuck? His pants just fell. Who the fuck is writing this? You know, we know it's written on its own before. We know it's written before. The ghostly blue light filled Klein's eyes, constructing a passageway that overlapped with layers of light between the deep darkness and the roaming invisible creatures. Klein didn't bother to observe his surroundings as he scrambled to the end of the passage. He stood up, straining his clothes, and restored Inzingwil's stern expression and stepped into the rippling scenes of light. After a moment of being mentally adrift, he found himself in another room, which was also occupied by quite a few guards. Something went wrong underground. Kept an eye out. Do not allow anyone to enter, Klein calmly instructed, walking towards the door at an unhurried pace. Yes, Mr. Zengwil, the guards replied respectfully. At this moment, the guard from before passed through the ghostly blue lights and shouted loudly, "There's a problem with that Zengwil from before." Everyone turned to look at the door, but Klein was nowhere to be seen. Tap, tap, tap. The guards immediately split up into several groups to search every direction from their target and notify their companions. The scene momentarily turned rather chaotic. One of them had just rounded the corner when he saw Ince Zengwil's back. Subconsciously, he pulled out his sword that... Dude, thank you. Thank you. Oh my god, we're at 1,913. Thank you, guys. Subconsciously, he pulled out his sword that coruscated with the lightning and performed a forward cleave. Oof. The figure floating away weightlessly and became a splintered paper figurine. At the same time, two loud bangs could be heard. Pale golden bullets passed through the visor that wasn't pulled down and accurately hit the guard's head. Before he can even cry out, the guards collapsed to the ground with a thud convulsing. Klein stepped out of the shadows in the corner and expressionally slipped the revolver back into his underarm holster. After burning the paper figurine, he quickly dragged the guard to an This is such a hype fight, dude. I have to reread this off stream to fully digest it, but this shit is so rad, bro. Look at him using all his powers. After burning the paper figurine, he quickly dragged the guard to an empty room and changed into black armor, switching his appearance to the fallen guard, and he just takes his place. Then he picked up the lightning sword and left the room, closing the wooden door behind him and running forward in a panic. He was going to notify every guard along the way that there was a problem with Inzingwil. Bro, what the fuck is going on, dude? Edeссak's story? Bro, this is so good. I fucking love Lord of Mysteries, dude. Next chapter. Chapter 474. I lied. Let's do this live. We haven't even added this up here. Hold up. We're taking off the top hat because our head is slightly bigger and it kind of hurts. But we will eventually put it back on. Chapter 474 is called Edessak's Story. Inside the solarium of the Red Rose Manor, Edessak Augustus stood by the full-length window looking at the indifferent Trissy with a gloomy face, and he said in a voice that was like a volcano about to erupt, "Why did you run away again?" Trissy looked past him and beyond the window, chuckled and answered with a question. Did you see the meteor shower? Did you feel the trembling of the earth? Behind her, porcelain and other items in the cabinet had fallen onto the thick, soft carpet. The old butler Funkel was standing beside her. It's not too rare for that to happen. It's not too rare for there to be a meteor shower. Just land in our backyard. It's not too rare for that to happen. Edessak replied in a low voice. Trissy raised her eyebrows slightly. You are very dull. Then let me be frank with you. I am a demoness. Prince X's expression didn't change at all. He turned to the old butler and said, guard the door and prevent anyone from entering. Yes, your highness. Damn, he really wants Trissy. Yes, your highness. Funkel gave Trissy a cold look and walked out of the solarium. When he heard the door close, Edessak exhaled slowly. Trissy cheek. Heh, you prefer to be called Trissy. I know you're a demoness. The person who hoped you purchased the beyond ingredients failed. What you received was provided by me. I don't mind that my princess consort is a witch or a demoness. I've even seen your wanted poster. Trissy was surprised at first, but she then revealed a mocking smile. You sure know a lot. Did you... Oh, he didn't know this part. Oh, he definitely didn't know this part. Did you know that I was once a man and my real name is Triss? What? Edessak's eyebrows widened and he tilted his head and he said he couldn't believe what he had heard. Upon seeing this, Trissy couldn't help but laugh. She laughed so hard that she had frantically bent back and forth like a lunatic. Oh, he didn't know that part, huh? He definitely didn't know that part. Huh, you didn't make a mistake. I was once a man. I used to be like you. And then the thing down there was no longer and thicker. No way he's saying he had a bigger schlong than Ed. I was once a man. I used to be like you, and the thing down there was longer and thicker than yours. However, the witch potion has forcefully changed my gender. Bro, Trissy be like, I was bigger than you. Damn. Are you disgusted? Does it give you goosebumps? Ed's be like, hell no, it doesn't. Are you disgusted? Does it give you goosebumps? She vented the word she had been represented all this time before taking 2 steps forward. What's Ed's gonna say? He's gonna be like, nah, like it's chill or what? Edessak instinctively retreated. His Adam's apple moved involuntarily. No, it's not like that. You're a real woman. There's no problem. I can definitely I can confirm that. Trissy's trying to get back. Trissy's trying to escape, man. She's gonna use everything at her disposal. No, it's not like that. You're a real woman. There's no problem. I can definitely confirm that. He mumbled to himself, then he raised his voice and said, "From the moment I met you, you were a real woman. I don't want to know what you were like in the past. I can pretend that nothing like this has happened. What I like, what I love is the present you." Stunned, Trissy raised her hand, wiped away her tears and laughter. "You're really a pathetic man. Do you still not understand? Our meeting was a coincidence, even your interest." She paused in disgust and continued, "Even your interest in me was a result of someone else's arrangement. Don't you think that everything happened too quickly? I believe in love at first sight, but I don't believe that it possesses such powerful bewitchment properties. You act like the main character in the third-rate..." Fuck, man. Trissy is literally breaking this man's heart. "You act like the main character," and the battle music fits perfectly right here. This guy is in love, man. Even if he doesn't know, it's all scheme. "You act like the main character in the third-rate romance novel, becoming obsessed with love from just one meeting. You fell in love with a stranger, forgetting the type of person you once liked. That's crazy." Prince Ed's eyes went blank and his eyes turned agape, but he didn't speak. His body suddenly swayed as if he had finally awoken from a long dream. "You are indeed my type, but my reaction, it's really too exaggerated." Oh, now he's noticing. I feel bad for Ed. Hold up, I low-key feel bad for Ed. Now I feel bad for him. "You are indeed my type, but my reaction, it's really too exaggerated." The corners of Trissy's mouth curled up, and she turned her head to the side to let out a sneer. "What a pathetic man to have what you like being arranged by someone else. It's like you're a puppet on strings." A puppet? "Don't you understand? You're a person that can be sacrificed, and I, as well as being a hostage for the corruption between the royal family and the demoness sect, am also necessary disguise for this deception. I possess an important item of the demoness sect, and under your strict supervision, I can be destroyed at any time and result in the loss of treasure. This is the sincerity of our cooperation, and once the matter is exposed to the other churches or the military, development of the matter will be very simple. Prince Edessak secretly kept a demoness due to his lust. After knowing his heinous sins, he shoots himself in the..." Prince Ed secretly kept a demoness due to his lust. After knowing of his heinous sins, he shoots himself in the mouth. Then all the problems would be covered up. I'm sorry, I thought that was a quill. No, Ed blurted out. Then, with a twisted expression, he asked, "Why are they cooperating with the demoness?" I thought the quill wrote him doing that. "How could a hostage who might be abandoned at any moment know?" Trissy gave a self-deprecating laugh. "That's what the whole reason behind what I want to know." Ooh, I'm reading wrong. Thank you. There's like 8 of you guys here. Thank you. "How could a hostage who might be abandoned at any moment know?" Trissy gave a self-deprecating laugh. "That's the whole reason behind why I want to flee." She lowered her hand and chuckled in a low voice. Her body trembled slightly from the laughter. After a few seconds, she raised her head once again, curled the corners of her mouth, and said, "What do you want to do with me? Strip me down and throw me onto the..." Whoa, what do you want to do with me? Strip me down and throw me onto the bed. "No, you've probably formed a psychological resistance. Actually, I don't mind giving you some warmth right now. It's not a shameful thing for two poor people to comfort each other." Prince Ed darkened his rotund face and looked at Trissy silently for nearly a minute. Suddenly, he closed his eyes and pointed to another side and said, "You can leave through that door." Trissy raised her eyebrows in astonishment. "You're letting me go?" "Yes." Ed turned to look out the window and slowly replied, "I'll stop, Funkle. As for whether or not you can escape from the other pursuers, that will depend on your own strength and luck." A dazed look flashed in Trissy's eyes a few seconds before she quickly ran towards the door. Before leaving, she couldn't help but look back. "What about you? Are you heading out?" "Dude, thank you for popping by for a bit." "Dude, we'll have the video up right away, guys. We'll have them up right away." Edessak didn't turn his head, but he continued to stare out of the full-length windows as if searching for the shadows of his past. He smiled and said, "Me. Let me live in this beautiful story and welcome its final end. Good or bad." Trissy took a deep breath. Without further ado, went through the secret door. In a quiet room inside St. Trissy is growing on me as I'm really liking this character, Trissy. We know Trissy has done some heinous things. Trissy's about to escape. She made a deal with Klein. We know the whole thing with the primordial. I feel like once this whole primordial demoness shit gets resolved with the primordial demoness chick, I wouldn't be shocked if we recruit her, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I would not be shocked if we recruit Trissy into the Terror Club. Take care, fool. We all really like Trissy. I can see why you guys like Trissy as a character. She's getting more and more fleshed out. In a quiet room inside St. Samuel Cathedral, one of the 13 archbishops of the Church of the Evernight Goddess, the person in charge of the Backland Diocese, St. Anthony Stevenson, had received an urgent telegram from Earl Hall's residence. The bearded old man with deeply nested eyes had an extremely clean appearance. Even though he wore a black and red archbishop robe, he didn't give off a gloomy feeling. However, anyone who had faced him would shudder from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if the spirituality was dominated by fear, or as if they were facing an unknown existence lurking deep into the darkness which stared back at them. Trissy cheek, primordial demoness, Saint Anthony lightly patted the paper and immediately stood up. The light around him suddenly vanished as if swallowed up by the gloom of the room. All the worshippers in the cathedral instantly felt the coming of the night. Everything quickly returned to normal as Saint Anthony appeared in front of the chant gate beneath the cathedral. Today, the one leading the team was the spirit guard Dali Simon. Without waiting for her at the desk, Archbishop Saint Anthony instructed in a deep voice, "Make preparations. The process shall begin. I'm awakening a..." What are we bringing? Music change? Next, music change? Whoa, hold up. We'll change the music after this chapter then. Everything quickly returned to normal as Saint Anthony appeared in front of the chant gate beneath the cathedral. Today, the one leader of the team was the spirit guide Dali Simon. Without waiting for her to ask, Archbishop Saint Anthony instructed in a deep voice, "Make preparations. The process shall begin. I'm awakening a sealed artifact." He wanted to use 017. Yo, dude, let's freaking go. Easy, easy. Don't taste the demon. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. Ah, she can join the Terror Club. Easy Bila. It's just some guys on the ship. Ah, she can join the Terror Club, bro. She can join the Terror Club. Ah, let's bring her in. Let's bring her in after, like, at the end of this volume, dude. I'm down. I'm down for it, bro. If we recruit her at the end of this volume, I wouldn't even be mad. I mean, I'm telling you, it's terrible and heinous what she did, but we're getting a grade 0 item. I gotta shut up. Hold up. Wasn't grade 017 was from volume 1. No, volume 1. Hold up. Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not the same grade as the quill. Oh no, yes, it's the same grade, not the same number. 017 has been mentioned before. He wanted to use 017. He wanted using a terrifying sealed artifact to confirm and deal with the Trissy matter. And this was the only grade 0 artifact stored outside the Holy Cathedral. Only 2 of the church's upper echelons knew that it was in the Backland Diocese. Yes, Your Grace. Wait, what the fuck? I just realized we're with Dali. Whoa. Huge tunnel vision. Hold up. I read Simone. That's Madame Dali's full name? Dali Simone? I'm sorry, right? If evil, why not? Bro, they've never mentioned Madame Dali's full name. Is this her? Yes. Oh my god, where were fucking China's Gate? Yes. Yeah. It was never, her full name was never revealed. This is the first time. Yeah, it was. Oh, I've been thinking Madame Dali this whole time. I didn't catch that. Okay. Oh, let me catch my breath. All the worshippers in the cathedral instantly felt the coming of the night. This is such a hype volume, bro. Such a crazy ass, like, dude, I'm getting like the jitters, bro. Everything quickly returned to normal as Saint Anthony appeared in front of the Chantis Gate beneath the cathedral. Tonight, the one leading the team was the spirit guard Dali Simon. No way, dude. Dude, no shot she's gonna run into Klein. Today, the one leading the team was the spirit guide Dali Simon. Without waiting for her to ask, Archbishop Saint Anthony instructed in a deep voice, "Make preparations. The process shall begin. I'm awakening a sealed artifact." He wants to use 017. He wants to use that terrifying sealed artifact to confirm and deal with Trissy matter. And this was the only grade 0 sealed artifact stored outside the Holy Cathedral. Only 2 of the church's upper echelons knew that it was in the Backland Diocese. Alright, so it was her. Okay, sorry. I read and I didn't read. Yes, Your Grace. Dali was startled. There you go. Just Dali. That's where I would have figured it out. It was her. Dali was startled for a second and she immediately responded. While waiting, Saint Anthony closed his eyes as a portion of 017 information surfaced in his mind. Number 17, name XXXX. Oh, shit. Okay. Simone? Danger grade 0. Extremely dangerous. It's one of the highest importances and of the highest confidentially. It is not to be inquired. Oh my god. It is not to be inquired, disseminated, described, or spied. Security, you gotta be the Pope. Security clearance Pope, Team A researchers, and Archbishops of the Backland Diocese. Note, when the Archbishop is transferred out of the Backland Diocese, the corresponding memories have to be wiped out using sealed artifact 1229. You have to swap out their memories? Sealed artifact method. The seal is complete through the combination of 129 and 180. Description: this isn't an item. This is a living angel. Her appearance is beautiful. I'm sorry. We know living artifacts are a thing. It's a living angel. Angels are 3-to-1, right? 3-to-1 or 2-to-1. This is a living angel. Her appearance is beautiful with black hair and eyes, looking like a young woman, but her actual age cannot be estimated. Bro, she doesn't have the wings recorded in canon. Just from her appearance, she is no different from an ordinary person. She does not have the ability to think and has lost all sentience. Anyone and everything that comes close to her will completely disappear. Anyone and everything that comes close to her will completely disappear. Through divination and other methods, it can even be confirmed that they're still alive, but are impossible to locate. Currently, 1,825 methods have been attempted, with every single one of them failing. 017's range of influence will expand and contract without any patterns. Currently, it has caused more than 70 researchers to vanish. Bro, what the fuck is going on? Warning, she cannot be used. Appendix 1. This sealed artifact has first appeared in the Pale Era of the 4th Epoch. Exact year missing. This is such a wild-ass item. Exact year missing, exact date missing, exact location missing. Appendix 2. Based on this information, she has been awakened 5 times. So during the Pale Era of the 4th Epoch. This was around the time when Death and the Primordial Demoness teamed up, right? After the 4 Emperors War, then they brought about the yes, right? A Pale Disaster, right? Appendix 2, based on this, so this was around that time. She's from that time period. She has been awakened 5 times. By passing on the message to search for Inexplicable imposter, Klein will help, with the help of divination, overcame the interference of the Master Key and ran all the way to the exit, giving him more revelation. He knew very well that with a carpet-style search, the corpse in the empty room would soon be discovered, so he had to race against the time to get to the exit. A faceless power should be matched with a mystical item that can be destroyed corpses and clean up my tracks. Having gained true knowledge from practice, it didn't take Klein long to cross the checkpoints of patrolling teams. Before he arrived at the exit where the divination pointed to him, however, what made him even more surprised was that there were no guards here, only a heavy stone door standing there by itself. What's going on? Why is there no one guarding this exit? Was my divination misguided, or are the guards outside? As his thoughts raced, Klein found a corner and took off his armor, restoring his light weight and agility. This is so good. So how much since we came back? For like an hour. Then he came to the stone door and opened the outwards and groped his way to the corner of the left wall. After carefully checking with a gold coin, Klein took out an ancient bronze key. He leaned it up against the wall and gently twisted it. Water ripples appeared as they spread out slightly. Klein silently passed through the wall without taking the door. The first thing he saw was a natural light and fell from the dome, which was meant that this place was really an exit. Klein carefully stood motionless as he quickly adapted to the light. He saw neat but oh my god, I'm reading wrong. Oh, I'm getting too excited. Deep breaths. He saw neat but mottled gray stones under his feet and the thick pillars in front of him. In the middle of the hall, 4 hooded figures knelt down around what appeared to be an altar. Soon after, Klein heard a soft but gentle female voice. Mr. A, are you ready? What? 4 hooded figures knelt around what appeared to be an altar. Soon after, Klein heard a soft but gentle female voice. Mr. A, are you ready? I thought Mr. A was from the Aurora Order. I am so confused. So is Mr. A a woman? I thought so. Wait, hold up. We heard a woman say, Mr. A, are you ready? Okay, hold up. All right, let's keep reading. This is so hype. Oh, this is so hype. Dude, I can't stop glazing this series. It is so goated, bro. Yeah, Mr. A is part of the Aurora Order. Okay. All right, let's keep reading. Okay, and the Aurora Order believes in the true creator. Right? Okay, hold up. Okay, let's keep reading. All right, chapter 475 is called Lady Despair. Mr. A of the Aurora Order. Klein, who intended to cling towards the wall in shadows and proceed towards the door, shrank back silently. Inexplicable should be working with some faction of the royal family, and the royal family is tied to the Aurora Order. What? Those who are able to extravagate and hide such a large underground ruins near Backland must be one of the main powers in the Lone Kingdom. With Inexplicable and 008 participating in this manner, the Church of the Goddess can be rolled out. Although the people of the Lords of Storms are a bit reckless in Chaval what? chauvinists, it's unlikely that they will work with the demonist sect. So who's left? At least until now, they have no beyonders who appear to be of the sailor pathway. In the same way, the Church of the Steams and Machinery hive mind aren't likely suspects. Vanitas OST when East Borough. I know, I lied. I forgot. Okay, so when we're in East Borough, we're changing the music. With Instant Will and 008 participating in this matter, the Church of the Goddess can be ruled out. Although the people of the Lord of Storms are a bit reckless and male chavians, it's unlikely that they will be with the demonist sect. At least until now, there have been no beyonders who appear to be of the sailor pathway. It's the same way the Church of Steams and the Machinery aren't likely suspects. Even the Aurora Order is involved. What are they trying to do? Klein leaned his back against the wall and slowed his breathing, thinking about listening to the conversation in the middle of the hall. After a short period of silence, a hoarse voice sounded, "It's done." Okay, what's done, dude? The answer was so concise that Klein couldn't make out what they were planning. The melodious and pleasant voices from before laughed in a low voice. "You don't seem to trust us very much." "That's right," Mr. A answered bluntly. Hey, who is Mr. A, bro? "Then I'll be frank and describe our goal and why I'm seeking your cooperation." The gentle female voice didn't sound very angry at all. "We've done certain things and left behind clear traces. Before we discovered the churches of the Evernight Storms and Steam, as well as the military, we must do the corresponding cleanup, and this requires your help." Yes, it seems like you don't really understand what I mean, so let me give you an example. Imagine you performed a heinous crime like murder in a house, so what's the best way of eliminating any evidence in a group? "There's no need for that. It's our goal to have others witness such an act," Mr. A said indifferently. "As expected of a member of the Aurora Order, they're all..." Are you guys out of me? Who do you know whose name Mr. A? Azik. It's not Azik. Mr. A, insane femboy? No. Hold up, we've had no description of Mr. A yet. "As expected of a member of the Aurora Order, they're all a bunch of lunatics." Wait, I skipped the line. "There's no need for that. It's our goal to have others witness such an act," Mr. A said indifferently. "As expected of a member of the Aurora Order, they're all a bunch of lunatics." Klein made a preliminary identification of the speaking man to be Mr. A, who had killed the Intis ambassador. You're right. He did kill... What was his name? Bakerland, right? Mr. A was the one that killed Bakerland, right? Okay, hold on. Let's keep reading. "Suppose it were me, not you." The clear, soft female voice had a faint wheezing sound. After a second, Mr. A replied, "Burn the house and bury all the clues there." The clear and gentle female voice had a smiling tone. "That's exactly what we planned. I'm in charge of committing arson, while you can use this opportunity to go with the development to create a passageway or vessel so as to allow your lord to descend upon this world." Okay. "And the only price you guys have to pay is to bear all the infamy and gain the most enmity for the military and the three churches, but I don't think you would mind that. As long as you can welcome the return of the Lord." Bro, who is this? I'm more confused about who this woman is. Like, it looks like she's the one pulling the strings in the shadow. "As long as we can welcome the return of the Lord, even if we're abhorred by every single force, we won't show any signs of cowardice." Mr. A's tone no longer appeared indifferent and distant. "Arson. The Aurora Order will take this opportunity to complete the ritual for the arrival of the true creator. This is probably the third time. Why did I bump into this again?" What a coincidence he bumps into this again for a third time. What a effing bad twist of fate. Klein couldn't help but curse inwardly in Chinese. At this very moment, he was extremely curious as to worry against the things that were plotted by the particular royal family faction. Instant Gwen and the demonist sect, it was terrifying enough to even use the descent of the true creator as a scapegoat. It was terrifying enough to even use the descent of the true creator as a scapegoat. What the? We are completing this today. Yeah, man, we've been live for like almost 7 hours. Perhaps they've kept some cards up their sleeves and will eventually destroy the Aurora Order ritual in the end and destroy all the other factions except themselves, Klein calmly thought while feeling tense. "It appears like you have no other questions," said with a gentle female voice. "This place is officially well hidden and can be used for the required setup. You can do your ritual and case and won't be need to worry." Oh my god, I'm reading wrong. "You can do your ritual here at ease and won't need to worry that it will be interrupted before you succeed. As for the things outside, we've already finished our preparations a long time ago. It's just waiting for the ignition of a spark. If you still have doubts, then you can make another round of checks." Just as Mr. A was about to speak, Klein heard a dull thud. It was the sound of the door opening. "Who permitted you to enter? Didn't I declare that no one is to approach this area?" The gentle female voice. Who is this woman? The gentle female voice suppressed her rage. Lady Despair? Lady Despair. Yo, take care, son. Who the fuck is Lady Despair? Hold up. She sounds like a big bad guy. Lady Despair, there's an emergency. Someone has infiltrated the basement. The higher-up sent me to arrange for a follow-up and close the corresponding passages. A male voice with distinct backline accent responded very quickly. The so-called Lady Despair... I'm sorry, that's Klein. A male voice with distinct backline accent responded very quickly. Is that Klein just pretending to be the guard to escape? The so-called Lady Despair maintained her silence for a few seconds and as though she was communicating with unknown existence to confirm the situation. Finally, she said without changing her tone, go back inside, don't come out again, nor allow anyone out. Wait until further notice. Yes, Lady Despair. No. How would he know the name? Yes, Lady Despair. The man ran towards the stone door with a heavy thud sounding in the background. From the place where Klein was hiding, he could clearly see the stone door leading to the back area. He waited for 7 or 8 seconds before a figure of normal height and build appeared. The man took a deep breath, stretched out his hands, and bared his teeth as he pushed open the heavy door with his ferocious expression. In that instant, Klein had completely taken in the man's appearance and characteristics without missing a single item. This was the beyond the power of a Faceless. That man's skin was reddish brown, and he was clearly of a southern continent descent. His facial features had no special characteristics, making it difficult to remember him. Due to him gritting and baring his teeth, he revealed a portion of his teeth. The third tooth on the upper left of his mouth flickered with a golden light. It was a fake golden tooth. This, Klein, with the spiritual intuition of a seer, frowned as he felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Very quickly, he used his skills to recall the source of his familiarity. The hangman had once requested the Terror Club members to find a man... What? The hanged man had one... I don't remember this. The hanged man... Shit, man. These terror gatherings are a lot more important than I remember. Olger did mention this guy. The second anybody mentions something, that has to be like top of the list because it's going to come back. Okay. The hanged man had once requested the Terror Club members to find a man with a reddish brown skin and a thick backline accent who had the third tooth on his left missing. The man's name was Balin, and he was involved in the escape of the disappearance of many colonial island slaves. Yes, you're right. Yes, that was brought up so early into the volume. What the fuck? This was so long ago. Oh my god. This was before the whole captain thing. This was literally before he became like the hero bandit. Ooh, this was so long ago. The disappearance of the colonial island slaves. The many tribes of the southern continent vanished into thin air. Balin's disappearance here. Captain, who took a large share of the underground slave trade, was protected by 4 beyonders suspected to be one of the Arbiter Pathway. Among them, the strongest was a Sequence 6 and even a Sequence 5. Captain constantly targeted relatively innocent girls in his abductions, the passage of the Grain Act, the improvement of the textile machines, and all resulted in a large number of people losing their jobs. Many female textile workers silently left Eastborough after receiving new jobs, not leaving any clues. The scattered dots instantly formed a line in Klein's mind, pointing directly into the depths of his earth. What are they up to? They need such a large number of members, people, as well as so many pure-light and innocent girls. A ritual. An extremely terrifying ritual that takes a very long period of time while being held in secret. Oh, it's all tying back into this. Klein's people suddenly contracted. Creak. Bang. The storm door closed and Balin disappeared from his sight. The hall was silent for a few seconds before Mr. A's deep and hoarse voice rang out again. I smell an accident. Let's begin. We need to hurry before it arrives. Lady Despair responded slowly. That's exactly what I was thinking. But I need you to send me to Eastborough. Eastborough. Klein had a bad premonition. You guys have been hyping up this music for once we get Eastborough. Okay, let's go, bro. Let's continue. It's like music where it breaks into a bunch of drums and stuff. Oh, that sounds really hype. Eastborough. Klein had a bad premonition. No problem, Mr. A answered with a lack of emotion. Under the hood, a transparent and blurry book appeared in front of him. I swear, it better not be... No, it's not Isengard, because he had a book, right? But it had an eye on it. This is about to be the most hype moment ever. Bro, you guys better chill. I don't know if you're trolling me on Hinge. You've been trolling me too much. Hold up, you're keeping me on guard. Okay, let's continue. Hold up. I'm getting shaky. Under the hood, a transparent and blurry... Oh my god, wait. A transparent and blurry book. This is the book... from the... Oh my god, when Mr. A killed, Bakerland, there was a... transparent book that said, I came, I saw, I wrote, not I conquered. I came, I saw, I wrote. Something like that. It's this book, right? This book has been mentioned twice. So this is, ooh, what a coincidence. This is the third time the book has, I came, I saw, record. Yes, this is the book. The book, oh wait, I lost my place. A transparent and blurry book appeared in front of him, accompanied by a distinct, it's literally right here, accompanied by a distant and distinct chant. He said, I came, I saw, I record. The book quickly, I remembered it. I remember the book. See, I remember some stuff. I forget some stuff, but I remember some stuff. The book quickly flipped open and stopped at one of the pages. Soon after, it began to emit a light blue and illusionary light. The light enveloped a white-robed Lady Despair, causing her figure to blur at first, then becoming indistinct. In an instant, Lady Despair saw countless indescribable silhouettes. She discovered lustrous brilliances which contained the bright and pure splendor of the endless knowledge at the highest point. Her body, I'm losing my voice now. I'm losing my air. I'm not making any sense right now. I'm gasping for her air. Her body was being dragged forward by a strange force as she rapidly tore through space. Not long after, she left her original spot and arrived at a secluded, uninhabited, and filthy quarter of an alley. She pulled down her veil to cover her face and looked up in the sky. The afternoon sun had once again been obscured by clouds and fogs and turning pale and dark. The light yellow fog wasn't particularly thick, and it sank down to every corner of Backland, giving off a slight choking sensation amidst its coldness. It's a pity that the haze didn't reach the point when it's in its worst and calmest state. The accident that happened to Trissy, the sudden and temporary loss of control by 008, the appearance of Edessak, the destruction of the previously caused by the Dark Emperor, they had complicated matters, garnering the attention of the others. It forced the operation to be brought forward to today. Lady Despair surveyed the area, walked out of the alley and into the streets. Bro, I don't even know what's going on. Oh, I forgot we were on slow mode. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if you guys want to, I don't know if Romero wants to turn off slow mode. I'll leave it up to you. But yeah, I completely forgot it was on. Her steps were slow as though she was wandering in a sea of fog. Wherever she passed, the fog would unnoticeably thicken, tinging with an iron-black color. It silently lowered the range of one visibility. As she left the street, a swallow-faced tramp in an old jacket suddenly coughed violently and fell to the ground. The two poor people close to the tramp retreated in horror, and they covered their throats with their hands as they gasped for air. It was as if they were suffering from severe lung diseases or bronchitis and could no longer breathe. A haze, which was a mixture of iron black, geeky music change again. What? Again? Wait, we're changing again? Okay, I got it. We got it. A haze, which was a mixture of the iron black and pale yellow colors, descended upon East Borough. Oh, wait, now. The dock area and the smoke-spewing factory distinct as it continued to spread through Backland. Various scenes in the distance were drowned, and even the towering clock towers was only a pale shadow. One by one, workers and poor people felt the discomfort as they fought against the cold. And the distortingly tramps fell one out. Is everybody dying? Fell one after the discomfort as they fought against the cold, and the disorderly tramples fell one after another in the woman's wake, and their lives as fragile as the bubbles formed during laundry. No, what do you mean laundry? If they killed, okay, they're just sleeping. I was like, if they kill the freaking family that Klein saved, I'm gonna be sad. Lady Despair's expression was calm and gentle, as though she was finishing a work of art. Like an ordinary person, she walked among the pedestrians as she chuckled and said in a low voice, "The Lowen Kingdom's history will remember this day. The great haze in Backland. The dark valley has been completely covered by black and corporeal water by 008. Didn't stop writing. It fabricated ridiculous and terrifying stories wherever it could land its tip on. The dropping of pants didn't affect Inexplicable's performance. His pants fell. Why is that in it? Why was that written? The dropping of pants didn't affect Inexplicable's performance because he was wearing a long robe, perhaps having anticipated a similar accident. The imperative mage stunned Edessak Eggers and the spot, robbing him of his two most powerful beyond her powers at the last moment. Truly a great assistant in every meaning of the word. However, the stacked doors of the spirit world and the underworld were attracted by Edesak's characteristic. I began stirring the powers of their battle, causing unprecedented changes. At that moment, an unknown... Hold up. At that moment, an unknown existence was attracted, resulting in him and him passing by. He took this opportunity to extend his hands into the real world. Oh no. He caught Inexplicable. Oh. Wait. In the midst, two bloody arms. Wait, what the fuck is going on? In the mid-air, two bloody arms, which were covered in squirmy flesh, suddenly appeared behind the clergyman robe Inexplicable. They caught Inexplicable's shoulders, dragging him into the void and into the spirit world. Abby said it better. Hell nah. Bro, what is going on? Why is this chapter called The Straw Man? What is going on? Let's change the music. Let's change it. Next chapter. I swear, man. This is not the right time for Melissa. And oh my god, like just I don't want them to come. I don't even want to finish my sentence. Like this is the Moriarty family needs to stay as far away from Backland right now. This place is too dangerous. They do not need to be here right now. But chapter 476 is the Straw Man. Light suddenly faded from where Inexplicable disappeared, stained the air with the richest and deepest darkness. And the darkness... hold up. Did I even do my timestamps? An hour and 14 minutes? Yes, we're good. Brace yourself? No, there's nothing to brace. It's going to be a happy ending, guys. You guys need to chill. What I mean, Moriarty, bro? Like, the Moriartys... the Moriarty family, my bad. The Moriarty family needs... the Moriarty siblings need to stay as far away from here. Benson and Liz, they said they were going to come back until, like, February or March. They better not come early. I'm gonna be so mad if they're already here. I swear, if I read Benson or Melissa before this volume ends, I'm scared. So much crazy shit is happening right now. They need to stay as far away from here as possible. Cope? You guys are coping. You guys are coping, me coping. I think that made sense. Light suddenly faded from where Inexplicable disappears, staining the air with the richest and deepest darkness. In the darkness, the sound of melodic chanting could be heard. It was quiet and tranquil, hypnotic event. Even the countless pale arms flaying upwards underneath the pitch black water seemed to slow down, no longer as frenzied as before, as if they had won the redemption for their souls. In such a dark night, a figure walked out. It was none other than Inexplicable, who had just been dragged into the spirit world. Wait, so what that door? Wait, no, hold up. Never mind. I thought like the door Sharon and what Mr. Zick was using. It's like a door to the spirit world. But hold up, let me keep reading. Hold up. I'll be quiet. Compared to before, he lost the bonnet on his head. The clothes on his left shoulder were tattered and a piece of flesh had been torn off. Faint yellow pus bubbled one after another. His eyes were no longer indifferent but filled with pain, as if he was suffering from some unimaginable torment. Thank you for following. Dude, thank you. The 008 quilt continued writing. Some might feel regret while others might rejoice. Inexplicable had the Inexplicable had the umbilical cord of the evil god which came from the bait. What the fuck am I reading? He kept the umbilical cord? Shut the fuck up, dude. What the fuck am I reading? Inexplicable had kept the umbilical cord of the evil god which came from the baby in Megusa's womb. It was the true creator, and though the umbilical cord... This is so wild. And through the umbilical cord, he successfully escaped from the restraints of the unknown existence and forcefully returned to the real world, but as a result, he had lost the mystical item. In addition, he would suffer the eerie of the evil god's spawn from having failed to descend from a short period of time. This made his strength appear like some kind of commodity in a department store during a change of seasons. With only 55% left, yes, this number is extremely accurate. In a street in the depths of Eastboro, I know what to do. We gotta change music. Alright. In the street in the depths of Eastboro, old Collier, and I'm mispronouncing his name, I'm sorry. I say Collier, I don't know which is the pronunciation, hurried back to his rented apartment carrying some ham in a paper bag. He looked around warily, afraid that those ravenous wolves around him would pounce on him and steal his New Year's gift. I swear, if they kill him, I'm gonna get mad. He had seen wolves back. Why are we talking about wolves? I'm sorry for lying. I don't even know what you lied about. It's okay. He had seen wolves back when he was still in the countryside, but to his surprise, he was able to experience that familiar feeling in Backland. It's still too expensive. I can only split the cost with someone else and cut it into pieces. This is enough for the New Year holiday. I can eat 2 slices of ham for every meal. 3 slices, no, at least 5 slices of ham. I can cut some. Why are we talking about ham? Hold up. Appreciate the stalling. Bet, Red Devil. Hold. We got like 20 minutes of stalling. I got you, bro. 3 slices. No, at least 5 slices of ham. I can cut some of them off and stew them together with the potatoes. Why are we with him talking about cooking? What is going on? I don't even need to add salt. With this in mind, Old Killer looked at the ham in his arms, seeing the white spots. Seeing the white spots mixed in with red meat, his throat couldn't help but twitch as he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. I'm sorry, are these like mushroom spores or what's going on here? As he walked, he felt the fog around him grow thicker. The cathedral... I'm losing my voice. I lost my place. I'm losing my place. I'm getting too excited. Oh, he did say he always wanted to eat meat. Is it? Is that what he said? Thank you for... Okay, I completely forgot that. The fog is coming out. As he walked out, he felt the fog around him grow thicker. The cathedral's clock tower that was still relatively clear in the distance was gradually swallowed by a mixture of iron, black, and pale yellow colors. Even the pedestrians surrounding him were reduced to a blurry shadows once they were 10 steps away. This is reminding me of that one, The Mist. Did you guys ever watch or read The Mist? It's reminding me of the movie The Mist. Old Kohler suddenly felt like he had been forgotten by the world as he raised his palm to cover his nose. Why does the fog smell so bad today? He muttered as he quickened his pace. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Old Kohler felt his face heat up and his forehead start to burn. Oh no. I'm scared. I don't know what's, you guys are starting to stress me out. There's too many emojis in chat right now. I don't know how to feel, man. You guys are stressing me out. His chest tightened, his throat felt uncomfortable, and soon he was experiencing difficult breathing. Have I fallen ill? Damn it, I still want to have a good New Year's, and now I can only send my savings to the clinic or hospital. No, perhaps I'll be fine with some help. I'll be fine sleeping with a blanket over me. Old Collier silently muttered to himself as his head grew hotter and hotter and his senses became more and more muddled. Gasp. He heard his own labored breathing and his hands went limp and... What? No. What? As the bag of ham fell heavily to the ground. We've been with him for so long. No, don't kill him. Old Kohler instinctively bent down to pick it up, but he ended up falling to the ground. He held the bag of ham and tried to keep it in his arms. At that moment, he thought there was a thick phlegma rushing up his throat, blocking it, so he fought back, making panting sounds. Thud. Old Kohler began to see through his blurry vision. Then a few steps away, someone else had also fallen and was gasping for breath. He was about the same age as him, in his 50s, with white sideburns. Suddenly, he understood that he was about to die. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Eat the ham before you die, bro. It reminded him of his own wife and children who, like him, suddenly got infected with the plague. He did say he lost his family, right? It reminded him of his own wife and children who, like him, suddenly got infected with the plague and died shortly. It reminded him of the times when he had been hospitalized. The patients in the same room were still chanting and laughing at that night, but they wouldn't be sent to the morgue early the next morning. It reminded him of friends that he had known as a tramp, many of which had disappeared over the course of the winter until they were found stiff under a bridge or some spot which was sheltered from the wind. A small number died from suddenly having food. This reminded him of the days when he was still a decent worker, when the neighbors in the borough would suddenly die like this. Some of them died from headaches, some of them died from accidentally falling into molten steel. Some of them died from all sorts of painful bloating elements. Some of them even collapsed from silently in the factories, one batch after another. This reminded him of what... Dude, he's like remembering all the people that have died. This reminded him of what he had heard from a drunk in the bar when he was scrolling for information. People like us, like straws on the ground. That's what's called straw, man. People like us are straw on the ground. Are you telling me Old Kohler was just a straw man this whole time in this volume? He was just a simple straw that was bound to fall? That's fucking deep, man. People like us are like straw on the ground, falling when the winds blow. It's even possible to fall on our own, even without the wind. The wind is coming. Old Kohler suddenly had such a thought. He's still holding the bag. He clenched the bag of ham tightly as he groped the pocket of his old jacket for the crumpled cigarette he had always been unwilling to smoke. What he couldn't understand was why his healthy body would suddenly become ill. It wasn't like he had never experienced such a dense fog before. What he couldn't understand was the reason for him suddenly collapsing, just as his life was back on track, moving in a direction that was sufficiently nice for him. Furthermore, he had been paid in advance by Detective Moriarty to buy him long-awaited ham for the New Year's. So fucking dumb, dude. I'm so mad. Klein was like, here, man, let me pay you in advance since I probably won't see you until I come back. It's so sad. It's like everyone he meets ends up dying. Do not buy him ham in Backland, you will die. Son of a bitch, dude. Furthermore, he had been paid in advance by Detective Moriarty to buy his long-awaited ham for the new year, and he was looking forward to tasting it. Old Kalir fished out the crumpled cigarette, but he no longer had the strength to lift his arms again as he slammed heavily to the ground. He used the last of his strength to shout out the words that he had been building up inside of him, but he could only let the frail words linger at his mouth without producing them. He heard his last words. He heard himself ask why. So messed up. And the apartment at the edge of Eastboro, Liv. I swear, dude, if they kill her, if they kill the daughter of the laundromat lady, oh, I got so emotional during that time because of real life. And if they kill him now, I'm gonna be so mad, dude. No fucking way. Even Klein was like, I really hope they make it out, but I can't really like help him, you know? Bro got the Harvey's have shut up. I didn't mean shut up, Red Devil, but you know what I mean. And the apartment at the edge of Eastboro. Yeah, they said they were gonna move to the edge, right? Liv hung up the last piece of clothing she had washed and waited for it to dry. She looked at the sky outside, somewhat unsure of the time due to the thick fog which had appeared without her realizing it. Anyways, it's so early and we've already done the laundry. Liv's expression grew heavy. It wasn't a good thing to finish work too early. This meant that... I don't want to read this. Classic Cuttlefish Waterworks. I don't want to read this. It wasn't a good thing to finish work too early. This meant that they could rest, but it also meant that they didn't have enough work, which would imply inadequate income. Liv took a deep breath, turned around, and looked at her eldest daughter, Frasier, who was wiping her hands and casting her gaze towards the vocabulary notebook in the opposite direction. Hold up, the music is getting a little loud. Okay, Liv hung up the last piece of clothes that she had washed away for it to dry. She looked at the sky. I just read this. Anyways, it's still early and I didn't read this. She looked at the sky outside, somewhat unsure of the time due to the thick fog, which had appeared without her realizing. Anyway, it's still early and we've already done laundry. Liv's expression grew heavy. It wasn't a good thing to finish work too early. This meant that they could rest, but it also meant that they didn't have enough work, which would imply inadequate income. Liv took a deep breath, turned around, and looked at her eldest daughter, Frasier, who was wiping her hands and casting her gaze towards the vocabulary notebook in the opposite direction. It's almost New Year's. Most of our clients have left Backland and have gone on vacation elsewhere. We can't go on like this. We have to find new work. As she spoke, she walked towards the door. During this period, the rich will host banquets one after another. They definitely won't have enough servants. Wow, the music is really low on my end. Well, hold up. During this period, the rich will host banquets one after another. They definitely won't have enough servants and might hire temporary kitchen cleaners. I plan on acquiring Frasier. You stay at home and pick up Daisy when the time comes. We need income, but so do the thieves, bandits and humans, traffickers, and those workers to welcome the new year. In Eastboro, every woman who didn't work in the factories had to be skilled or aggressive enough in order to survive. Frasier answered briskly. All right. Her mind was already on the desk and a vocabulary notebook next to her. Liv had just opened the door when she stumbled and fell to the floor. No way they killed the mom, dude. Fuck, man. Ah, shit. Cough, cough. She broke into a violent coughing fit as her face flushed red, with every joint in her body experiencing unbearable ache. Frasier ran over in a panic and squatted beside her. Mother, what's wrong with you? No, don't go up to her. Mother, what's wrong with you? It's nothing. Cough, I'm fine. Liv began to find it harder to breathe. No, you're sick. I'll take you to the hospital immediately. Frasier tried to help her mother up. It's too expensive. Cough. Let's go to a charity hospital. I can't wait. It's not a big problem. Liv grasped her response. Frasier burst into tears and her vision blurred. Fuck, I'm gonna cry. But at that moment, damn, this is sad. Hold up, man. I gotta hold it together. But at that moment, she felt her lungs burn and her body went limp as she fell to the ground with Liv. Fuck, man. What's the matter with you, Frasier? Cough. You're sick. Wait, she does too. You're sick too. Liv shouted anxiously. There's money. Cough. In the closet. Cough. In the hole in the wall. You have to be quick. Go to the hospital. Get a good doctor. Frasier turned to say something, but not a sound came out from her mouth. Her eyes slanted up to the door beside her. It was their bedroom, this bunk bed. On top of it was her favorite table and vocabulary notebook. Her body suddenly began to twitch. Liv's coughing stopped. Within the public elementary school at the edge of Eastboro, the fog still wasn't thick yet, but many students had already started to cough. No way they killed her too. The experienced teacher on duty immediately ordered, "Quick, to the cathedral. We need to head for the cathedral next door." Daisy stood up in a panic. No way they kill her, dude. Fucking cuttlefish, bro. Why the fuck would you give a whole fucking arc where she gets kidnapped? We fucking save her, and Klein is like, I should help him, but like, you know what? It's like, it's the fate of Eastboro. You fucking piece of shit. This motherfucker foreshadowed it from the very beginning. Daisy stood up in a panic and ran with the crowd to the cathedral next to the school. Suddenly, her heart palpitated as she felt the horror of losing something important. Mother Freyja. Daisy turned her head sharply, waiting to rush home against the crowd. However, she was stopped. She was caught by her teachers and forcibly dragged towards the cathedral. Daisy, oh my god. Daisy struggled and screamed at the top of her lungs, "Mother Freyja, Mother Freyja." Anise borrowed the dock area of the factory. Who, Matt? Who are you gonna kill next? Anise borrowed the dock area of the factory district. The old or those with latent ailments collapse. This is so sad, man. What the fuck? They're literally just killing everybody. I don't even know who's coming right now. Ah, man, I'm too out of it to know what's happening. Like, who's gonna show up at the end of all this? Anise borrowed the dark area in the factory district. The old or those who latent ailments collapse in the fog in succession, like filled trees, while those who came into contact with them felt as if they had been infected by the plague. They died quickly, and even the able-bodied adults and children also fell silently unwell. In their eyes, the yellow light and iron-black fog was like the descent of death. On Tuesday of the last week in 1349, Backlight was shrouded in haze. In the corner of the hall, Klein pressed himself against the stone wall as he wouldn't be discovered by Mr. A. Soon he heard muffled groans and could smell the scent of flesh and blood. "Give up your lives for the Lord, Mr. No fucking way it's him, bro. Is it really the true creator?" Soon he heard the muffled groans and could smell the scent of flesh and blood. "Give up your lives for the Lord." Mr. A's voice suddenly shut. No, it has to be something else. Thud, thud. The sound of figures collapse entered Klein's ears, and a strong spirituality fluctuated appeared constantly reverberated. Mr. A sacrificed his 4 attendants just as his thought appeared. Let me put the volume louder. Just as this thought appeared in Klein's mind, illusionary layers of weeping sounds could be heard. Some of them were calling out for their mothers, others coughing violently, and some moaning in pain. As half an expert of mysticism, Klein seemed to see a series of disgruntled and transparent figures hurrying to the ritual one after another, followed by the years of numbness, despair, pain, resentment from the dock area, factory district in Eastboro. Has it officially begun? No way. Change the music to Benitez? Dude, oh no. I'm too locked in to reach out. Hey, my bad. I was too locked in to change the music. Please change the music to Benitez. Can somebody... Okay, Mr. A sacrificed his 4 attendants just as this thought appeared in Klein's mind. The illusionary layers of weeping sounds could be heard. Some of them were calling out for the mothers, others coughing violently, some moaning in pain. As half an expert in mysticism, Klein seemed to see a series of disgruntled and transparent figures entering the ritual one after another, followed by the years of numbness, despair, pain, and resentment from the dock area, factory district in Eastboro. Has it officially begun? Klein closed his eyes and leaned his back against the wall, his right hand clenched and relaxing. For him, the best thing to do at this moment was to slip out of the hall and flee into the distance. Mr. A was contradicting on the ritual. His right hand loosened and tightened before relaxing many times in a row. 7 or 8 seconds later, Klein opened his eyes, the corners of his mouth curling upwards in an exaggerated manner. He reached out his hand to grab the revolver, turned around abruptly, and dashed out. Dressed in a black double-breasted frock coat, he raised his right hand and aimed at the altar. Bro, what is going on, man? I'm scared. We're almost done with this volume, huh? We're almost done with this volume. I can feel it. We're almost at the end. It's time. I can feel the ending approach. Chapter 407 is called The Many Considerations of the Fool. The first thing Klein saw was at the altar, which was surrounded by layers of light and the tall, thin figure standing in it. I'm gonna take off my hoodie. I'm getting too hot. I'm like getting sweaty just putting it on. The figure took off its hood, revealing a beautiful The first thing Klein saw was the altar, which was surrounded by layers of light and a tall, thin figure standing in it. The figure took off his hood, revealing a beautiful, devilish, feminine voice. with a left chest, shoulder, abdomen, and thighs all covered in a squirming, sticky, disgusting flesh and blood. His surrounding was filled with illusory, transparent shadows that brimmed with feelings such as numbness, despair, pain, and desperation. Beyond the altar, the 4 figures which were praying had fallen. Their skin was shriveled. That was revealed before, right? Like, you're stealing their life when their skin gets shriveled, like you're sapping their life essence. And their bones were tightly wrapped, like corpses that had been eroded for many years. At top of the hall, rays of light pierced through the air, quickly entering the altar through the stone pillars, floor, and the air that was filled with symbols and magic labels. As soon as Klein emerged from his hiding place, Mr. A opened his eyes and looked in his direction. His pupils were dyed with blood, and an extreme madness was contained within his cold eyes. If it were any other Beyonders that would have subconsciously looked away, not daring to look him in the eye, but Klein, who had faced the eternal blazing sun and met Blasphemon, wasn't afraid of this. He wasn't afraid. Calmly pulling the trigger, he sent a silver demon. The bullet is not gonna kill him, bro. He sent a silver demon hunting bullet engraved with many patterns flying towards the altar. Oh, he's shooting the altar. Witnessing this scene, Mr. Ape subconsciously wanted to raise his hand, but he stopped in the end. He watched indifferently as a silver bullet drilled into the layer of the light surrounding the altar. Silently, the powdered demon hunting bullet melted and disappeared under the layers of radiance, engulfed in untold resentment and negative emotions. In the end, it completely disintegrated, leaving not a single trace of it behind. Klein's people shrank as he shot the rest of the revolver bullets. The pale golden purifying bullets and the bronze exorcism bullets shot out, piercing through the radiant barrier one after another. However, they disintegrated in the same way and dispersed without creating the slightly ripple. Mr. A laughed hoarsely. It's no use, puny worm. The ritual has already officially begun, and with your strength, it cannot be broken or interrupted, even if you're a sequence 5 Beyonder. But you're also fortunate you will live to witness the coming of the Lord and be integrated into his body. With that, Mr. A ignored Klein and closed his eyes again, as if he was indeed nothing but a puny worm. The shepherd raised his hands in a gesture of open arms and shouted out in ancient Hermes, "The Lord that created everything, the Lord who reigns behind the curtain of the shadows, the degenerate nature of all living things, your devout believers pray for your coming. I am willing to offer my body as a vessel to bear the burden of your great will." Amidst the prayers, a light from an unknown source appeared above Mr. A's head, completely enveloping him. The grievance and negative emotions that were gathering around Mr. A surged into his body like a tidal wave. Bang, bang, bang. Klein snapped his fingers repeatedly and used flame controlling, trying his best to attack the altar, but it still couldn't resist being disintegrated against the barrier of light. What can I do? All my other mystical items are above the great fog. To take them out, I need to hold a ritual which would waste at least a minute or two. And he's like, wait, hold up, pause, break, I'll be right back. And a body without protection would be very dangerous. What should I do? Klein rationally stopped his attempts and stood there, his mind racing. Furthermore, whether it was a sun brooch, the biological poison bottle, the all-black eye, or the Dark Emperor card that raised his level, none of them seemed capable of breaking through the altar's barrier. So what the hell is he gonna do? Is waiting for Miss Justice's call for reinforcements the only thing I can do, or do I just watch helplessly as a true creator descends? Klein tensed up, his thoughts rapidly flying through his mind. He quickly considered the corresponding strategies. As he considered each and every item on his body, his palms subconsciously broke out in the cold sweat. Suddenly, he thought of something. Without having time to think about the consequences, he reached into his pocket and grabbed something that felt metallic. Klein took 2 steps forward, jerked his arm hard, and threw the object in his palm at the altar. What did he throw? With a flash of bronze, the object entered the barrier of light. It was an ancient, simple key. It was a master key. Within the barrier of light, the brass master key began to decompose and melt. And then, oh shit, we threw the key. So we lost the key. Within the barrier of the light, the brass master key began to decompose and melt. And when its outer shell dispersed, the curse that was hidden within it appeared, connecting to an unknown area where Mr. Door was? I'm sorry. Stay strong to what? What is going on? I'm sorry I'm keeping you from your bedtime, guys. I apologize. We're almost shooting for 8 hours on the stream. And when its outer shell dispersed, the curse that was hidden within it, the curse that was hidden within it appeared, connecting to an unknown area where, I'm sorry, is Mr. Door gonna come into the scene now? Connecting to the unknown area where Mr. Door was, an Emperor's Borough, the opulent villa of Earl Hall. Why are we with Audrey? Hold on, go back. The key contains some of Mr. Door's corruption. Yeah, so that's why, like, it came out, right? Because, like, we know he's not technically good. He's completely hiding something. He destroyed the key, leaving only the... Okay, the curse is within the key, and when you break the object, the curse gets dispelled. Or, like, it goes... I wonder how many other items have that, bro. Almost 100 viewers. Holy shit, bro. Thank you, guys. This is so fucking hype, dude. Oh, shit. I can just imagine, like, breaking other items and, like, the curse comes out. 5 a.m.? Damn, man. I am here, no sleep for me. I am sorry, Nightshade. But you know what? The name is fitting, dude. Thank you, guys. There's 90 plus of you guys here. This is so good, dude. Audrey stood by Why are we with Audrey, bro? Can we, like, please go back? Audrey stood by the full-length window and worriedly looked into the distance. She saw the fog on the horizon was gradually thickening, turning a pale yellowish that was... I'm sorry. No. No. We're gonna stay away from the fog, Audrey. She saw that the fog on the horizon was gradually thickening, turning a pale yellow that was dyed iron black as it slowly spread in her location. There's something wrong with that. Stop. No fucking way. No. We're not gonna kill her. The huge golden retriever Susie sat beside her and almost looked at the comically seen haze. Yes, I hope I can be stopped in time. Stop. You keep the shit away from her. Audrey didn't know what the fog represented. She silently prayed to the goddess and Mr. Fool that they wouldn't let the primordial demoness descend. Suddenly, she noticed that the branches outside the window began to shake and the glass was slightly rattling. Don't tell me the wind breaks it, bro. No. A wind is... I swear, this fucking wind breaks their windows and the... I'm not gonna finish my sentence. A wind is coming. Audrey felt inexplicably happily. Oh, the wind is blowing it away. Oh, thank God. I thought it was gonna break their windows. Sherwood Borough, Holy Wind Cathedral. Terrifying storms that were visible to the naked eye suddenly appeared outside of it. I'm sorry. Wasn't there like a strong storm that led to the abyss? Right? Or is this something else? Lord of Storms finally useful. Thank you, Lord of Storms. You're finally coming in clutch. Terrifying storms that were visible to the naked eye suddenly appeared outside of it, and they surged towards the east in an unimaginable hurricane. Oh, and it blows it all away. The thick accumulated fog was blown away. Oh, this little bitch. Lord of Storms should have fucking came in like 15 minutes ago. Where was he? The thick... It's something else, but yes. Oh, let's keep reading. The thick accumulated fog was blown away, and the rich yellow and iron black colors quickly faded away. Whoosh. Dried branches fell to the ground, and the dust and dirt rose in the air, following the fog in the distance. Many of the pedestrians had their hats separated from their bodies, and bodies swayed so much that they had to hold onto the trees of the walls. The sailors in the dock area felt as though they had returned to the port city and were witnessing a typhoon. The smog in Eastborough and the I'm sorry, who is this? Like, what is strong enough to create a wind this strong? The smoke in Eastborough and the factory district thinned, and the healthy population felt relieved of the slight discomfort. Boom, boom. Lightning leaped and thunder rumbled. They soon subsided, and the downpour began to cleanse the land. The Church of the Lord of Storms reacted quickly this time. It also had to do with us bringing the operation forward and not being fully prepared. Heh. Those in the middle class and the tycoons would have shared the same fate at the great smog as the commoners, as if it wasn't for the respective protection they received. They would all be lambs waiting for the slaughter. Lady Despair sat on the rental carriage as she leisurely heard the pattering of the rain in the glass windows. Even though her plans had been ruined in a timely manner, the haze from the before had caused more than 20,000 deaths, according to her What the fuck, bro? 20,000 deaths, according to her calculation. Furthermore, there would be the subsequent spread of the plague. There's definitely going to be a plague doctor next arc or next volume, bro. With this, I've pretty much digested most of my potion. I've pretty much digested most. So she uses to digest. So she also used this to benefit herself. But this is just a benefit I received as a matter of convenience. With large numbers of population being wiped out, at all this points to the Aurora Order and the true creator. No one could guess what the royal family was really planning on doing. It's time I leave, along with the true creator. Lady Despair thought while in a good mood. Her whereabouts were kept secretive, and she had taken care of everything beforehand. Therefore, she did not have to worry about being surrounded by the backland demigods at all. By this time, they found traces of her. She would already be far gone from the city. Just as Lady Despair was about to leave the carriage, her vision blurred, and she saw a figure appear before her. The figure sat across from her. It was a young woman in a hooded classical robe with black eyes and hair and a beautiful doll face. Who is this? Conspiracies? Bro, this is wild, man. This is scary. This shit is wild. The figure sat across her. It was a young woman in a hooded classical robe with black eyes and hair. And a beautiful doll face. After throwing out the master key, Klein... The angel? After throwing out the master key, Klein held the Edessak copper whistle, then held his breath and waited for the results. If things... Is this the angel? The angel. Goldfish memory. The sealed angel artifact. Is it? After throwing out the master key, Klein held Edesakk's copper whistle and held his breath and waited for the result. If things failed to develop as he imagined, with the altar's bearer remaining intact, he planned on using the Edesakk's copper whistle to see if he could get any help from the messenger. If that failed, he would go above the grey fog and use all the items like the Dark Emperor card. He had to attempt every possibility until every last second. At this very moment, there was no crimson moon, let alone a clear full moon since this afternoon. Therefore, Klein didn't have enough confidence in the curse to contained within the master key, and he only hoped that the disintegration effects of the altar's bearer would threaten its very existence and cause it to react instinctively, such as communication with Mr. Door in reverse and transmitting its cry for help him. In just a second or two, Klein saw the master key disintegrate into the smallest particles of light and an illusory distorted crimson. The crimson quickly faded as it struggled and then suddenly exploded. In an instant, Klein lost his senses of hearing. He saw the countless figures formed from a resentment and indignation all raised their heads and screamed. They rapidly transformed, tinged with a blackish green, and grew a second skull, a third eye, or even a fifth leg. They converged into a torrent and surged into Mr. A's body. Mr. A suddenly opened his eyes, shook in disbelief, evident amidst the indifferent blood eyes. Soon after, the radiant ladder of light surrounding the altar wrapped in collapse. Boom. A huge exploration spread out from the center of the altar, setting off a terrifying storm. Crack. The four thick stone pillars closest to the blast instantly crumbled, and the distant Klein only had enough time to duck and roll before he was sent flying home. Flying home? Sent flying by the shockwave. Bam. He hit the wall, flattened into a thin sheet of paper. The subsequent wind quickly tore apart the thin piece of paper, scattering in every direction. Klein himself appeared in the corner, using the walls to withstand the ensuing shockwave. The disruption caused by the master key exceeded his imagination. That's a strong-ass key. Fifth leg means what? Okay, you guys gotta be more specific. What the hell does that mean? Klein wishes he could fly home. He wishes he could fly home after all this. The disruption caused by the master key exceeded his imagination. The curse that had been forcibly melted away really did have an instinctive reaction, as it transmitted Mr. Door's roar and the voice of this forsaken entity, who was at least at the level of an angel. This shit would have killed Fours, man, if she heard like the ravings of an angel, bro. Like what? So that's sequence 1 or 2, right? That's wild, bro. As a result, the altar lost its balance and embarked on a path of self-destruction. The moment the blast calmed down a little, Klein rushed out to confirm the results. The illusory figure and the oppressive feeling in the air had already vanished, leaving behind scattered remnants of the altar. Mr. A had his body leaning forward, and he knelt by a collapsed pillar. He was missing an arm, half face, and a number of organs. And he's still standing. His remaining eye was still filled with bone-deep hatred. However, his wounds were quickly covered with squirming flesh. Ugh. After that single glance, Klein didn't hesitate to run. For him, he had achieved the ultimate goal of foiling the true creator's ascent. He stopped him again, bro. For him, he achieved the ultimate goal of foiling the true creator's descent. If he didn't leave now, was he a sequence 6 going to share dinner with the shepherd, Mr. A, to welcome the new year. Hell no, we gotta fucking get out. Bro, triple kill. This is so hype. Oh my god, it's kind of overwhelming, man. But this, I'm trying to follow this, man. I'm trying my best. Where the fuck is Inzen Wool in this whole thing, by the way? We just completely left him. What is going on? Oh, hold up. I need to let's update our stuff and keep reading. Dude. Chapter 478 is called Grade 0 Sealed Artifact in Operation. The moment she saw the stranger that appeared in front of her, Lady Despair materialized a sharp crystalline ice spear and threw it at her target. Using the force of recoil, she attempted to break through the back of the carriage and into the street. With regards to this sudden turn event, she was puzzled at the strange enemy who suddenly appeared. On the contrary, she was very confused and perplexed as to how someone could find her concealed self so quickly. It was no less difficult than destroying a large city of teleporting directly from Backland to the southern continent of East Balham. But as Sequence 4 Demoness of Despair, she had developed herself one step at a time from when she was an assassin. She knew that she couldn't afford to be distracted or sprout nonsense at such critical moments. It's too late to think about all that matters. Wait, hold up. I forgot something. All right, let's read from here. But as Sequence 4, I read this. She knew that she couldn't afford to be distracted and sprout nonsense at such critical moments. It was too late to think about all these matters later. Therefore, she could choose to attack directly and wanted to take the opportunity to leave. She could already imagine how strange men with black hair and eyes would be frozen in layers of sparkling light in the fortress wake of the icy spear trajectory. She would have to struggle to break through the obstruction in order to have the strength to chase her. By then, she definitely would have escaped from the streets and blended into the crowds. However, the scene she was looking forward to didn't appear. As soon as the crystalline ice spear left her hand, it suddenly disappeared into thin air. Its whereabouts were completely unknown. Angel, the Demoness of Despair's eyes narrowed as black flames suddenly surged from her body, spreading elements in a bid to ignite everything around her and causing a large-scale fire. At that moment, her body trembled in a strange manner and she froze on the spot. She saw her left hand disappear 1 centimeter at a time as it rapidly spread upwards in an unstoppable fashion. In her eyes, the beautiful and lifeless eyes of the woman opposite of her were the dark and serene, as if it was pure darkness concealed within. You are what? The Demoness of Despair words came to an abrupt... I just had to mute the mic for no apparent reason. The Demoness of Despair words came to an abrupt halt. His entire body was like a sketch that had been quietly erased with an eraser, leaving no trace behind. Her final gaze was filled with fear and despair. The seat she spiritually occupied was empty, as though she had never sat in it before. The beautiful woman, with his lifeless expression, pulled the hood off her classical robe. Her lips moved almost imperceptibly as her figure instantly disappeared. Damn, bro. This is so good. On the outskirts of Emperor's Borough, on a trackless public carriage, Triss was sitting quietly in the corner, wearing a veiled hat. She didn't flee with the help of the river by going straight to the Tussock River, nor did she head for the nearest railroad to catch a train, as everyone thought she would. Her choice was to return to Backland. Only in this city was a population over 5 million with all sorts of hidden factions, and a numerous beyonders would be able to help her escape the subsequent pursuit of the Edessak. At this moment, she felt tense, mentally, constantly wary of the terrifying old brutal Funkel. Suddenly, her head spun. When her vision returned to normal, she found herself having magically left the public carriage and was standing on the muddy road outside. Trish's pupils contracted rapidly as she looked around cautiously. Then she saw a black hooded figure in a classical robe, and she noticed that the black eyes hidden in the shadows. For some reason, it was as if Trusty had returned to being an infant, so weak to the point that she couldn't help but put up any resistances at all. Cold sweat dripped from her forehead, and although her legs were trembling violently, she was unable to move. This is the scariest enemy I've ever faced. Even the high-ranking demoness I previously met didn't give me such a feeling. Am I going to die here? Is this finally going to end after I persisted in escaping despite failing so many times? A deep sense of despair and uncontrollable sadness filled Trissy's heart, making her feel as if she had plunged into her deepest nightmare. This is wild, bro. Suddenly, a dim blue light flashed before her eyes, removing her curse of being unable to move. Who? Trissy looked forward again, but there were no longer any traces of the extremely terrifying figure. Everything that happened just now seemed like a most realistic illusion. But when Trissy lowered her head, she was surprised to find that the sapphire ring on her left pinky had somehow shattered, losing all of its brilliance. Crack, crack, crack. The remains of the ring and the gem fell off one after another. This reminds me of when Four shattered her bracelet, the little gems on the bracelet. Klein dodged and rolled around the collapsed stone pillar, and the heavily injured Mr. A was in the process. It's so wild that we're fighting Mr. A. Did I skip a line? Oh my god. Klein dodged and rolled around the collapsed stone pillar, and the heavily injured Mr. A, who was in the process of healing, and he ran to the entrance opposite of him. Oh wait, you're right. Wall's closing in. All right, okay, now we got the right song playing. Klein dodged and rolled. Hold up, the song is about to loop. Yes, it's looping. There you go. Klein dodged and rolled around at the collapsed stone pillar of the heavily injured Mr. A, who was in the process of healing, and he ran for the entrance opposite of him. As for the characteristics fragments which were slowly gathering for the remains of the Master Key, he didn't even take a glance at them, afraid that he would give Mr. A enough time to stop. He was well aware that even if he had all mysticism items and was well prepared, he couldn't necessarily be a match for the Shepherd, not to mention the fact that he was only equipped with a Zip's copper whistle and the 3 types of Beyonder bullets. He didn't even have a single match left. Even though Mr. A was seriously injured, Klein didn't dare to take the risk. He had heard that the Rose Bishop sequence prior to Shepherd was extremely proficient in flesh magic. Oh, flesh magic. Its healing ability was in no way weaker than the ability of transferring his wounds. Creak. He pulled open the heavy door. The natural light outside shone in, and the clouds in the sky. The mouse. I'm gonna turn it up a bit. Dude, 100, man. Thank you guys. The natural light outside shone in, and the clouds in the sky were tinged with a thin yellow, and the sun was pale in them. Klein rushed out and found that he was in the middle of a mountain. He was surrounded by towering mountains that made the area extremely hidden. Tap, tap, tap. He frankly ran and wasn't even taking the mountain trail. We're at a mountain? Instead, with his skills as a clown, he ran down the steep slope, occasionally tumbling and occasionally sweeping up. Wait, how did we end up here? Creak. He pulled open the heavy door. The natural light outside shone. Okay, he opened the door. Okay. The natural light outside shone in, and the clouds in the sky were tinged with the thin yellow, and the sun was pale into them. Klein rushed out and found that he was in the middle of a mountain. He was surrounded by 2 towering mountains that made the area extremely hidden. Tap, tap, tap. He frankly ran and wasn't even taking the mountain trail. Instead, with his skills as a clown, he ran down the steep slope, occasionally tumbling and occasionally swinging up with the help of trees. My man is like Tarzan. Swinging up with the help of trees. Splash. He heard the crashing of the river. It was up ahead just below him, but at that moment a strong gust of wind blew over, sweeping towards the back. Klein made a prompt decision. His knees buckled and he rode to the side. Su, su, su. The location where he was originally standing and the direction he was moving in his moving in hand a deep ravine carved out by the wind's blast. Mr. A dropped out of the wind. His body... Oh my god, my nose is so itchy all of a sudden. I apologize. Mr. A dropped out of the wind, his body still draped with a cape squirming with flesh blood. He pointed with his finger and immediately chunks of flesh flew out and swelled up in midair before suddenly exploding. Boom. Drops of blood... Ugh. Drops of blood and bits of flesh flew in every direction as Klein cartwheeled, with his hands dodging in most of it before finding the shelter behind a huge tree. The projectiles bored bloody holes through the huge trees. Oh my god, hold up. My brain is shutting down. It's been 8 hours. Hold up. I gotta keep it together. Drops of blood and bits of flesh flew in every direction as Klein cartwheeled, with his hands dodging most of it before finding the shelter behind a huge tree. The projectiles bored blood holes through the huge tree. Traces of corrosion began spreading in every direction from the affected area. Back when Klein was running, he had already loaded his revolver. He was about to raise his hand and shoot Mr. A in the eyes when he saw a deep darkness appeared within him. All of a sudden, Klein knew that although the scenery around him hadn't changed at all, he had been forcefully dragged into a dream. He had once killed a nightmare at least. Klein maintained his consciousness and saw Mr. A face to his side in a manner inconsistent with logic, turning into a blood-red blanket that enveloped him in a manner that couldn't be escaped. You want to rely on nightmares to scare me to the point of stopping my heart. A thought flashed in Klein's mind, and he responded. This was his dream. The lucid him could conjure anything. Oh, because he's a dream? Okay. You're right. Thank you for saying that. We haven't updated our times. We forgot to update it like 2 chapters ago. You want to rely on nightmares to scare me to the point of stopping my heart. A thought flashed in Klein's mind, and he responded. This was a dream. The lucid dream could conjure anything. Thus, a pure and dazzling golden sun appeared. Clear and blazing flames ignited everything in the surrounding in an instant. Klein imagined the scene when he first saw the eternal blazing sun during the dream divination. Almost at the same time, he left a dream and he heard a muffled grump. Mr. A took a step. He got burned. Mr. A took a step back, 2 streams of blood running from the tip of his nose. The robe formed from flesh and blood began to slowly flow as though it was melting. Pa. Klein snapped his fingers and ignited the trees about the 30 or 40 meters. Away beneath his feet, long-awaited withered weeds caught on fire and soaring flames enveloped his body. Mr. A, originally unmanly beautiful face, suddenly turned even more beautiful and feminine. A crystalline and weightless ice spear materialized in his hand and threw it towards the burning trees a few dozen meters away. I can't even, like, picture this right now. Insanely, like, this fight is so, like, imaginative. I'm trying to find the word. This fight is so, like, it's so much and so mystical. I can't even visualize it right now. I'm actually finding it hard to visualize it. Mr. A being a femboy right now, so he was a femboy. He was a femboy all along. Okay, you guys were right. Yeah, Mr. A is a femboy. Mr. A, originally unanimously beautiful face, suddenly turned even more beautiful and feminine. A crystalline and weightless ice spear materialized in his hand, and he threw it towards the burning trees a few dozen meters away. As soon as Klein jumped out of the flame, his pupils reflected the transparent tip of the spear. The tip of the spear became bigger and clearer, filling his eyes. Klein threw himself to the side and his body became covered with a thin layer of frost. The transparent spear that extinguished the flames allowed the thick layer of ice to quickly spread in every direction. Klein, who was still in midair, suddenly curled up in a ball, turning his body upside down. He stretched out his left hand and lightly pressed on the layer of ice. He once again rose into the air and he just fucking bounced off that midair. However, the skin on his palm was frozen to the point of contact. This resulted in him tearing off his skin with a rippling sound. Rolling to his feet, Klein reached into his pocket and pulled off a self-made slumber charm. Mr. A is so freaking strong, bro. Holy shit, he's gonna struggle so much during high sequence fights. I know. I'm hanging in there right now. As he was about to say the incantation, his nose suddenly started to itch and he sneezed. Achoo, achoo. His head ached and he kept sneezing, leaving him with no strength to fight back. I feel sick. I became infected by some sort of ailment. The moment Klein realized this, he felt countless threads that were difficult to be seen. It's crazy how far Klein has come. This is so hype. Like, the fact that Klein is at this point fighting, it's so wild, bro. The moment Klein realized this, he felt countless threads that were difficult to be seen by the naked eye twirl around him, wrapping him up like a mummy in a certain sense. He wasn't unfamiliar with this kind of experience. He knew that this was the beyond powers of a demoness of pleasure. Back then, he had relied on his use of charms to cause all parties to fall into a deep slumber. Then, relying on his uniqueness, he escaped the effects of the charm, but now Mr. A had maintained a distance of about 20 meters. However, Klein was no longer just a clown. The fingers he could still move snapped and made a crisp snap sound. In an instant, all the spider silk around him was ignited, as if it had turned into a giant torch. What the? Klein had just jumped out of the scarlet flames when he started sneezing. He's sneezing, which was then followed by the fit of violent coughing. This automatically prevented the use of many of his beyond powers. At this moment, the feminine gentleness of Mr. A's face disappeared, adding a little more dignity to his loftiness. He stretched out his right hand and clenched it tightly. Klein suddenly had an inkling that if he ran, he would only be running in circles. Mr. A, who was wearing a blood-red robe, revealed a cruel smile. An ancient book. Oh, it's the book. An ancient book that was transparent and illusionary appeared in front of him. An ethereal, high-pitched voice rang out. I came, I saw, record. How is Klein gonna come out of this, bro? Like, this is what killed Bakerland, right? Mr. Ambassador? When he fought him? When he used the book, he died. And he just caught on fire, right? That's how it ended, right? When he fought Bakerland? Klein wanted to hide, but he was powerless. At that moment, he experienced in unprecedented manner the power of a shepherd. What have I been? I'm telling you, dude. Yeah, shepherd has been the most hyped, like, pathway this entire, like, series so far, bro. Bakerland, the fodder, bro. That's true. That's true. Klein wanted to hide, but with his powerless, at that moment, he experienced in unprecedented manner the powers of a shepherd. It was truly worthy of being called the most comprehensive, most flawless, and most powerful Beyonder sequence under the level of a demigod. Even if he hadn't made any preparations, with many mystical items being unusable, for him to be suppressed to such a state without being able to fight back, it implied that there were many problems. I've been telling you guys, man, Shepard has been peak ever since this shit was brought up with like, oh my god, like from like the very beginning when like creeping hummingbird was mentioned, like, oh, it's kind of like a Shepard, like this shit is broken, and like the second is like, oh, you can literally use other people's abilities. Nerf Shepard, please, dude, no, please don't nerf Shepard. As of right now, Shepard is like the best pathway before demigod. I don't know what's gonna happen once we start reaching demigod fights and like high sequence beyond fights or like freaking god fights. Like once we start hitting like that biblical scale of fights, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to visualize it. I'm not gonna lie. But as of right now, Shepard is like the best pathway ever, bro. Shepard pathway is too OP. Literally Shepard, dude. Do you guys agree with me now? I don't know about monster. You guys have been hyping up monster, but as of right now, Shepard is the best. Because Shepard can just take whatever monster can do, bro. True creator is the one true lord. Alright, let's keep reading, dude. Bro, you're reading so slowly. When I get excited, I'm slowing down a bit. It's so good, dude. I'm excited, so I'm taking more breaks in between. This normally doesn't happen. But chapter 479 is called The Inexplicable Smile. The old butler Funko was flitting across a barren field in the wilderness. He had lost his hat. His neatly combed gray hair hung in an unkempt manner, and the outer layer of his clothes were muddy. Huff, huff, huff. He paused for a moment, panting as he looked behind him. He felt slightly more at ease when he realized that there was no one around. You have the same number of subs as the year. Really? Oh. Fun fact. Okay. That's crazy, dude. Yo, you guys gotta get some sleep, man. I'm sorry. He felt slightly more at ease when he realized that there was no one around. However, when he turned his head and was able to change in direction, he had discovered that a figure had appeared in front of him. The figure wore a hooded classical robe. His face was dull and expressionless, with his black eyes were hidden in the shadows. Funkel's pupils constricted. He opened his mouth and tried to say a word in the ancient Hermes, but he was surprised to find his nose disappearing and his voice gone. His nose disappearing and his voice gone. A look of despair suddenly appeared on his face. Then, like a stain in the void, his entire body was seemingly wiped clean with a cloth, and not a single trace was left behind. Is this the angel sealed artifact? Was that what just happened? The sealed artifact? Oh, Romero 017. Is that what's going on? KO? Achoo, cough, cough. In the face of Mr. A's looming attack that spelled certain death, Klein was unaffected by an illness. His headache and fever made it difficult to use flame controlling or flaming jump. At that moment, he couldn't even produce air bullets. Fear of the unknown took over his mind. The clown's intuition for danger saw himself split in the smallest particles of light, perhaps taking away any chance of him reviving. In an instant, Klein reached into his pocket and took hold of an object. What does he have now? This was his answer to the most dangerous situation he could think of ahead of time. No matter what kind of situation he was suddenly placed in, a magician had to be prepared to a certain extent so that he wouldn't panic in the middle of battle. Is he gonna use his whistle? Klein took out a Zig's copper whistle, brought it to his mouth, and blew hard over the sneezing and coughing. Without any stirring motions, he saw through his spirit vision a geyser of white bones spewing out as he rapidly sketched out. Oh my god, I can't read. It's been 8 hours. I'm sorry. Whew. Without any stirring motions, he saw through his spirit vision a geyser of white bones spewing out as he rapidly sketched out the appearance of a huge messenger with black flames burning in its eye sockets. At that moment, the pages in the book in front of Mr. A stopped flipping and the distant voice suddenly came to a halt. A misty green blend surged out, and the bone messenger that was almost out 4 meters tall cracked and crumbled into countless specks of pure light. Behind it, the force that had caused Klein to go in circles was the first to crumble. The figure in the black double-breasted frock coat was then enveloped, turning into a statue made of yellowish sand, which was blown away by the wind. However, the scattered sands were white spots, as if they were shreds of paper that had been torn to its limit. Klein's figure appeared on the other end, I've never read that word. Genuflecting and coughing uncontrollably. I'm losing my voice. Hold up. Messenger, no. We have to leave him alone. No. If it wasn't for the skeleton messenger blocking the blow for him, then he would have been able to suppress his elements and use paper figurine substitute. After all, the ordeal, his illness worsens to the point of him losing almost all forms of resistance. At that moment, Mr. A, who failed in his fatal blow, suddenly coughed in a way more violently manner than Klein. He fell to the ground in pain, both frothing at the corners of his mouth. Cough, cough, cough. You're just a chill guy. He coughed out a pile of fragmented organs and squirming flesh. Then with great difficulty, he opened his mouth and attempted to lick them back into his mouth, forcefully to consume them. What's going on? Klein was stunned for a moment. He coughed out a pile of fragmented organs and squirming flesh. Then, with great difficulty, he opened his mouth and attempted to lick them back into his mouth to forcefully consume it. What is he doing? What's going on? Klein was stunned for a moment, but that didn't stop him from resisting a cough, raising his right hand, aiming at the revolver at Mr. A's head. At that moment, he vaguely understood something. While Mr. A's injuries could be treated with his flesh and blood magic, the impact and the backlash on his mind, the spirituality, couldn't be nullified through his method. So he can nullify physical, but not like spiritual stuff. Okay, Mr. A should have switched to another Beyonder power to slowly heal the damage to his spirit body, but he was driven by hatred. He forcibly suppressed his injuries and chased after Klein. Thus, after continually using the Beyonder powers that extended what his body could bear, his situation worsened by the latent problems that flaring up. Bang, bang, bang. Klein fired all the bullets in the revolver. Bronze, pale, gold, and silver beams of light quickly crossed a short distance between the two of them. Unfortunately, he was unable to control his sneezing and coughing during this process. The bullets didn't all hit Mr. A, with only 2 of them hitting Mr. A and 1 of them drilling through his forehead and the others into the torso. Sizzle. A sizzling sound rang out, but Mr. A's head seemed to the boneless. It was just a combination of the pile of rotten flesh. This caused the pale golden colored bullet to sink deep into his body. It quickly came to a stop and failed to deal lethal damage. All it did was emit a golden radiance and sunshine. Mr. A lifted his neck and the flesh around his hole and his head writhed wildly. He wasn't dead, not even seriously injured. He was once the tenacious Rose Bishop. Seeing this, Klein made up his mind. He turned around and ran, not longer making any attempt to attack. As for Mr. A, he was... Oh my god, my voice. Oh, my voice, man. As for Mr. A, he was panting, and when he lowered his head again, he licked the bits of fragmented flesh and organs he had coughed up. Amidst the wheezing and coughing, Klein ran into random directions, occasionally rolling. Finally, he fled on the edge of a cliff, which was over 50 meters away. Beneath the cliff, the slightly turbid Edessak River surged incessantly. It was wide but calm. Klein didn't hesitate and put strength into his legs and jumped. He plummeted, fell the weightlessness of a free fall. His body tore through the air as he attempted to adjust his posture in mid-air, transforming into a standard diving motion. Cough, achoo. His element stopped. His 3.5 flips midway, and the position of his body and palms fell into the correct stance. With a splashing sound, he struck the water surface, reducing it into a thin piece of white paper. Don't worry, we're close to the end. Oh, thank you. I'm hanging in there by thin thread, bro. My voice is... I'm reaching the end, but if you guys are saying we're almost done, let's keep going. The paper figurine quickly became moist, half sinking and half floating. At the bottom of the river, not far away, Klein's figure formed as it shivered a little. His clothes were almost soaking, as of the remaining paper and bills in his wallet. After distancing himself, Mr. A, the elements had abated. Klein thought with a lingering sense of fear. If his coughing and sneezing hadn't subsided at the last moment, he wouldn't have had the time to use paper figurine substitutes, and he would have been suffered internal bleeding and instantly die. Of course, if he died in such a manner, he felt that he had a chance of being resurrected. While kicking his legs to keep himself afloat, Klein created an invisible hollow tube in his mouth, allowing it to rise out of the water and bringing him fresh air. This was the underwater breathing. Finally, he's using the underwater part. Breathing to OP. It's finally he uses it, bro. This was the underwater breathing performance of a magician. Klein sucked in with his mouth and blew out through his nose, not letting the turbid gas he breathed out pollute the pipe by directly entering the water. At the same time, he stealthily made his way to the shore, hoping to avoid Mr. A's Dude, this is like a crazy-ass Mission Impossible mission. This is so wild. The strongest ability, the secret technique. It's wild how far Klein has come. Like, the fact that he's able to fend off Mr. A. This shit is wild, bro. The most important seer ability. At the same time, he steadily made his way to the shore, hoping to avoid Mr. A's subsequent pursuit. Unfortunately, this isn't a city. The powers of a Faceless cannot be used effectively. Otherwise, once I break away, Mr. A definitely wouldn't be able to find me. While swimming, Klein instinctively had to stop. This resulted in him thinking of a problem, and that was the wind controlling Beyonder power Mr. A previously had. Generally speaking, this belongs to the pathway of the Lord of Storms. For this pathway, apart from the wind, there's also a water. Maybe the snake guy was the one that used that wind back in Backland, right? What was his name? Ace Snake or whatever? We know he's like with the Lords of Storms and he's a high sequence, right? Maybe it was him. Underwater activation. Shepard is also... I'm sorry, can he do the same thing? Generally speaking, this belongs to the pathway Lord of Storms. For this pathway, apart from the wind, there's also water, which means they're especially effective for underwater activities. Underwater activities, Shepard is so all-rounded and terrifying. Klein's heart almost stopped beating as though flashing through his mind. He suddenly swam upstream, no longer concealing himself. As soon as he emerged from the water and approached the shore, he saw Mr. A, devilishly beautiful face, covered with flesh scales and gaping gills. He does not let go, bro. He is chasing him, bro. Holy shit, dude. Dude. Oh, spell singer snake. A snake, the spell singer of God. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, guys. I'm over it. Maybe it was him that did that. He suddenly swam upstream, no longer concealing himself. As soon as he emerged from the water and approaching the shore, he saw Mr. A's devilishly beautiful face covered with fish scales and gaping gills. Mr. A, who was floating on the water surface on his bright red robe, had the corners of his mouth curled up. His eyes were filled with true hatred. Fight, I can only fight. I'll try to hold on until the church's reinforcements arrive, or Mr. Edessak to escape his predicament. Without hesitation, Klein, who had gained reprieve from his ailments, raised his right hand ready to snap his fingers. At that moment, the two of them simultaneously looked at the sky as though it was an instinctive reaction. A beautiful feminine figure was quickly outlined. The figure was hooded and in a dark robe, and its eyes looked blankly at Mr. A. It's a sealed artifact. Its eyes looked blankly at Mr. A. Then Klein saw Mr. A being quickly erased as though he had become a pencil. This is a fucking crazy ass living artifact, bro. What the fuck is this, dude? Then Klein saw Mr. A being quickly erased as though he had become a pencil drawing. And it's that easy. Mr. A was he was erased that easily. What the fuck, dude? Klein is like fighting for his life, bro. And then this dude just she just erases him like a pencil drawing. He had become a pencil drawing, wiped out rapidly with an eraser, leaving nothing but his looks of this indignation and despair amidst the blankness and madness etched onto his mind. That was the only audience present. What kind of level is this? What kind of strength is this? The moment Klein thought about it, he saw the figure turn to look at him. Fucking get away from here, dude. It was a beautiful face, but it didn't have the slightest expression. Its black eyes were deep and dark, devoid of spirituality. Just when Klein's heart was beating rapidly, thinking that he would disappear without a trace, without a clue as to whether he could be resurrected, the corners of the woman's mouth slowly lifted into a smile. A smile. Klein was stunned, wondering if he was dreaming. Before he could regain his senses, the figure instantly faded and disappeared from where he was. The sound of water splashed around him and echoed in the air. Puzzled, Klein swam to the shore and got up on the water. Looking around, he found that this place was unusually remote. There were no roads or living people, only the slightly turbid river. Water continued flowing in an unchanged manner. It ended just like that. Mr. A died just like that. Who was the lady just now? She was so strong that Mr. A didn't even have time to scream. And she smiled at me. Smiled. Maybe it's a she? However, other than the figures at the level of the Pope, how could there be any angels walking on the ground from 3 churches? Furthermore, a figure of that level, Pope obviously wouldn't be in Backland. Klein couldn't believe that he was out of the danger zone. After a moment of... it's not over yet, bro. Volume 2 is not over. After a moment of contemplation, he finally felt a sense of reality. She should be a powerhouse sent by the churches. She arrived in time and successfully saved me. If I had informed Miss Justice ahead of time, then they might not have taken such timely action. They would have been at a high chance of me dying in Mr. A's hands, with the possibility of resurrecting being a question. Yes, it also... Like, Klein is being too dependent... Change music back to normal. Klein is being too dependent on him being able to resurrect just like that. Like, dude, he has to stop. It's dangerous, bro. I don't think it's gonna work again. With the possibility of resurrecting being a question. Yes, it all has to do with my persisting on... Yes, it also has to do with me persisting on, dragging on the battle all the way until this moment. Not bad at all. With a sigh of relief, Klein began to look for a way out. Exile. The man with the gold mask pointed it at Zig Eggers and threw his figure into the void, a spot no one knew. Then he turned around to face... Okay, we're back with ints. Okay, hold up. Anti-spoiler squad is working hard. Then he turned around to face Instant Will, who was looking at him with a frown. There's no time. We can't finish him off quickly. We have to hide this area as quickly as possible. Do you want the church to discover our secret? The man with the gold mask growled angrily. Instant Will put away his doubts, nodded, turned to 008, which had stopped writing, and grabbed it. His figure was faltering somewhat, and by his legs were piled pants that had nearly been ripped apart in the middle of the battle. Piled pants. Inside Red Rose Manor, Prince Edessak sat by the full-length window with an abnormally vacant look in his eye. Your Highness, please hurry. A voice sounded beside him. Edessak eyes turned, spirited as he took a deep breath, picked up the revolver on the table, and pressed it against his temple. Inside it was a bullet that obliterated spirit bodies. He turned his head and looked longingly out of the golf course and then of the strolling horses. Bang! He pulled the trigger. What? What the fuck? He just took himself out. Yeah, Tristy did say that. Tristy was right. Tristy told him he'd be used as a scapegoat. Bro, what the fuck? Oh my god. We're at the 480s. We're almost done, man. Oh my god. Chapter 480 is called Honest Rewards. In the hall where the stone pillar had collapsed, a group of Nighthawks wearing black windbreakers and silk hats appeared around the altar. The person leading the team was Archbishop of the Church of the Evernight Goddess, Saint Anthony Stevenson. Saint Anthony Stevenson. It was disrupted by someone, he muttered without stopping, and directly walked to the stone door that led to the interior. I'm gonna lower the volume a bit. It's too loud for me. It was disrupted by someone, he muttered without stopping in the direction, walked to the stone door that led to the interior. Let me lower the volume. It sounds kind of loud for you guys. Rich darkness surfaced as the stone door suddenly opened. St. Anthony led some of the Nighthawks as they delved deeper. Yeah, we passed it a while ago. It's been 8 hours. It's been 8 hours. Along the way, they didn't discover a single guard or anything of value. It was as if the place had been forcibly swept clean. Finally, they reached a room in the deepest recesses, but there was nothing there but the walls and stone pillars. The blue door of light, which was there when Klein left, was long gone. Oh man, my brain's shutting down. It's getting harder to read. Whew. The lanterns in the Nighthawks' hands suddenly lost their lights and darkness enveloped the room. When everything returned to normal, they found that the surrounding walls had somehow melted away. However, there was no hidden doors or tunnels behind them. It was either a thick layer of mud and rocks or the corrodor they came from. St. Anthony was silent for more than 10 seconds before saying, "Try the divination, search the vicinity, achoo." Walking through the pathless cliffs and forests, Klein was saddened to realize that he had apparently really fallen sick. The residual effects of Mr. A's beyond her powers, combined with the fact that he was drenched during winter, gave him the shameful cold. However, he didn't dare to stop to collect dry twigs to light a fire and dry the clothes and money. He was afraid that the Beyonders of the church would find him. Even though he had already gained endorsement of the Stanton Isengard from the Machinery Hive and obtained the status of a semi-official, this was a matter involving the primordial demoness awakening and the true creator's descent. 2 cases of the Hydrus order, therefore he was bound to be subjected to rigorous investigations, have tea sessions with the Machinery Hive mandated punchers, and the Nighthawks to recount the whole process of activity. I lost my place. There were 2 major pitfalls to this. One was that he knew people inside the Nighthawks, and although Detective Charlotte Moriarty looked quite different from the martyred Klein Moretti. Oh my god, I can't read. Looked quite different from the martyred Klein already, making it impossible to identify him via photographs. He had zero confidence if things were done face to face. 2, because of similar pathways, the Church of the Evernight Goddess wasn't very friendly to people and things related to death. Back in the Pale Era, at the end of the 4th epoch, Death had fallen under the siege of the 7 gods, and Sherlock Moriarty had summoned a powerful descendant of Death. At the critical moment, this wasn't a problem that could be exiled easily anyways. The music is loud, huh? I'm gonna lower it more. That high-level powerhouse was rushing to deal with Ins Zungwil and 008, so she didn't have time to bother with friendly small fry like me. However, I can't be careless as a result. I should flee when it's necessary. Yes, I can write to the Machinery Hive Mind when I have a chance, stating that the second reason as to why I have to temporarily leave Backland. This way, I might still have a chance to work with them in the future. Of course, I have to secretly observe to see if the Machinery Hive Mind has any strong enmity towards any of the sense of death. I wonder how Mr. Zik is doing. Heh. Perhaps Sherlock Moriarty might be dead in the official announcement. He sure did live up to the name and identity. As quickly as possible, Klein tried to find a small town and blend it with the crowd while enduring the alternate fever and cold. Only in human society could the faceless powers be fully exposed. The woman who was working with Mr. A, she should be a demoness. She went to Eastborough. From the looks of the ritual, there must have been a large number of deaths over there. I wonder, with the spiritual intuition of a seer, Klein's heart suddenly felt heavy. At this moment, all the colors At this moment, all the colors in front of his eyes turned saturated as they had been sprinkled with oil by a deity. How's the music? I'll turn the music up a little bit more. I think I may have skipped the line. Mr. Zik, are you... Wait. I almost skipped the line. The feeling was over instantly, and Klein found himself far away from where he had been, with a bronze-skinned, soft, featured Azik Eagers appearing next to him. Oh, it's Egg. My bad, not E. Mr. Azik, are you unhurt? Are you unhurt? Or just ask if he's hurt. Mr. Azik, are you unhurt? He couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. I am, Azik replied frankly before smiling, but to an undying, this isn't a big problem. Klein calmed down and asked, what happened to Inzengwil in 008? Inzengwil is still alive. Inzengwil is still alive, and he still wields the Great Zero artifact, Azik said as he walked. Klein tried hard to follow him as he couldn't help but sigh. What a pity. Don't worry about it. He was severely injured, as Azik solemnly said, and most importantly, we know that he was secretly cooperating with the royal family. So we don't know how to worry about not being able to find him in the future. This way you can focus on improving yourself, and I can also try to go a few places that I've recalled to awaken more memories. Heh. Your luck isn't bad. I've been secretly observing the people from MI9 and the royal family to confirm Inzengwil's whereabouts. Once the most important place was Red Rose Manor, so I've always been wandering around that area. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to rush over to save you so quickly. Okay. Klein quickly felt a little awkward when this was mentioned. Mr. Zik, aren't you puzzled as to why I didn't die? I often wake up after entering a coffin as well. This is something that I previously recalled as Zik. So, like, this is normal for me. I often wake up after entering a coffin as well. This is something that I previously recalled, as Zik said with a smile, completely unfazed by this matter. And in my incomplete memory, although it is rare in others, it's not without precedent. He often wakes up after entering a coffin. Often. Klein suddenly realized that the problems that he was worried about were nothing in his eyes of a real powerhouse. As expected of an undying of the death pathway. Well, Mr. Azik has mentioned that he had been in the sequence for a long time, which means that he had long advanced. Klein thought for a moment that he asked with concern, Mr. Zik, would Inzengwil discover that I'm Klein Moretti? He was afraid that Inzengwil would take revenge on Benson and Melissa. Unlikely, at most he would believe that we knew each other long ago, or that you're my informant. If we use the terms that the police uses, Zik recalled and said, but that Grade Zero sealed artifact might notice it, but you don't have to worry. Why? Klein pressed. It was unknown what Zik had remembered, but his expression suddenly turned strange. It was as if he wanted to laugh, but at the same time he felt horrified. That Grade Zero sealed artifact will help attempting to write down the death of its owner? Wait, we do have to update the chapter. Let me reread this part again after we updated the chapter after how long. The Grade Zero sealed artifact will keep attempting to write down the death of its owner. Oh, that's why it was writing on its own. This is likely to be intrinsic to it and cannot be changed. Therefore, I doubt it would actively divulge such important information that can put Inzengwil at a tremendous advantage during such a critical moment, unless it involves something that it cannot avoid or explain. Seeing that Mr. Zik was so sure about it while producing such strong justifications, Klein exhaled. It was as if he had recovered a little from the cold. Seeing this, Zik added, it's best if you leave Backland for the time being. Inzengwil might use that Grade Zero artifact to seek revenge again, using your fake name. As long as you aren't in Backland, it should be fine. The Grade Zero artifact sphere of influence doesn't exceed a larger city. Oh, so it's a range. Okay. Just as I had predicted, there's a limit to its sphere of influence. Otherwise, Inzengwil could have easily hidden in a small town in the southern continent and leisurely arranged the fates of... I just burped as I talked. And leisurely arranged the fates of all his targets without having to worry about anyone finding him. Klein asked after some deliberation, a short trip to Backland for a day or a half is fine. Right? With the premise that I've changed some identity and looks, with that, he rubbed his face, instantly reverting back to his appearance back in Tingen. He rubbed his face, instantly reverting back to his appearance back in Tingen. So we're back to Klein's original face. Zik's eyebrows twitched as he nodded. It's fine. He turned his head and looked into the instance at the spot that he could no longer see. It seems like I've been targeted by a powerful existence of the Church of the Evernight Goddess. It's best if you don't stay by my side, or you might be implicated. Heh. They're very interested in the beyond characteristics related to death. Yes, I plan on heading out to sea. While I digest my potion, I'll be seeking mermaids. It's a condition for my advancement. Klein explained his plan. Zig tilted his head. Mermaids? Could it be a mermaid in the form of a dead spirit work? No way Zig just knows where to go. Could a mermaid in the form of a dead spirit work? I can find at least 4. Probably not. Klein reached out and wiped his forehead. It could work. His intuition told him that it was definitely impossible, but he planned to dive into above the gray fog to confirm it. Without mentioning the dead mermaid again, as Zig said, if there's anything, then contact me through the messenger. Messenger. Klein suddenly felt guilt-ridden and ashamed. It died in my battle with Mr. A. It saved my life. Fucking R.I.P. Zig gave him a glass, shook his head, and laughed. Don't worry about it. As long as it isn't killed by a powerhouse at the level of an angel or via some special method, then as long as the undead still exists... Oh, it can slowly... Oh, he's back! It can slowly be reborn there. And before that, I have similar messengers numbering. I don't know how many there are either. It sounds like there aren't an army of such powerhouses and humongous messengers. Klein turned a gape, unable to say a word. His shame faded, and he asked curiously, Mr. Zig, where is the underworld, or in other words, hell? Dude, Zig is a homie, bro. This guy is crazy good. These guys are going to be BFFs, bro. I already know it. I mean, they are BFFs, but they're going to be even better best friends in the future. The spirit world, to be precise, it's a special place that the... Well, let me read this. Hold up. The spirit world, to be precise, it's a special place that the ancient death created in the spirit world. Zig didn't hide the truth. Ancient death. That should be the ancient god Phoenix ancestor Gregorins? Okay, I'm getting lost. Hold up. So the underworld belongs to the spirit world. No wonder the basic structure in mysticism is a real world. I'm getting lost. No wonder the basic structure in mysticism is the real world, the spirit world, and the astral world. It doesn't contain the underworld and the abyss. Klein was about to ask a question when he suddenly remembered something and quickly said, Mr. Zig, I obtained a card of blasphemy created by Emperor Roselle. It contains the secrets of high sequence beyonders. I believe it can help you recall more things. However, you'll have to wait a while. It's hidden in Backland. Klein didn't mention the bounty, fearing it would reveal the Terror Club secret, the mysterious space above the gray fog, and misjustice. Therefore, he could show the gratitude towards Mr. Zig for his help and sacrifice in a tactful way. As Zig looked at him in surprise, but he ultimately said nothing. He nodded and said, When you get it back, have the messenger bring it to me. Oh my god, my back. I'll immediately return to you after I study it, or you can copy the contents and pass it to me. He paused for a moment as if he had thought of something. Then he took out a glove that was thin and it looked like it was made of human skin. Is this creeping hunger? He paused for a moment as if he had thought of something. Then he took out a glove that was so thin that it looked like it was made of human skin from the pocket of his hand and handed it to Klein. He's giving him creeping hunger. I've already awakened the relevant memory, so I no longer need a head. It's an item that the pirate Rear Admiral Hurricane left behind. Shut up. No fucking way he just obtained creeping hunger like that. I've placed some seals on it so it wouldn't be hungry. What a coincidence, dude. What the fuck? However, every time it's used, it will require you to use a human's flesh and soul to feed it. Wait. I've placed some seals on it so it wouldn't be hungry. However, every time it's used, it will require you to use a human's flesh and soul to feed it. Otherwise, it will devour you. Creeping hunger, the remains of a particular shepherd. Klein immediately recalled what the glove represented. Bro, let's fucking go, dude. Holy shit, no fucking way Klein is gonna be a shepherd on top of everything else he's gonna get it. Oh, I mean, not a shepherd, but like he's gonna have like crazy shepherd-like abilities on top of being like a high sequencer. This is definitely gonna be his most goated weapon. Dude, I can already see fights. He just starts mimicking what he sees. I'm sorry, did I even finish the chapter? Oh my god. Okay, where are we now? Statistics and people. All right. I won't eat dinner until stream ends. No, you guys gotta go get something to eat. In a small town on the outskirts of Backland, after changing into a clean and dry clothes, Klein placed the wet bills on the surface of the table, one by one, waiting for them to dry naturally in the warm room. During this process, he moved very carefully and very gentle. Even his sneezing and coughing, which were brought by the fever, had been forcefully suppressed. To make sure there were no mistakes, he didn't dry themselves by controlling a flame. Having done all this, he walked to the corners of the hotel room, where there was a full-length mirror. Klein's black hair was neatly combed in the mirror. He had a pair of dark brown eyes, and his face was thin and angular. He had gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose and was beardless. He looked young, but also experienced. This was a modification of Zomingiri's appearance with the traits of a native from the northern continent. Moreover, this was his useful appearance during the university when he was filled with vigor, one that had yet to appear being made fat by society. One that had yet to appear being made fat by society? He intended to go back to Backland when things have settled down a little, and then he would get himself a legal identity for his current appearance. Compared to when he left Tingen, he had no shortage of appropriate channels. For example, he had Ian and Braveheart's Bar, Miss Sharon Circles, and Detective Isaac Arstein. How nostalgic, Klein whispered. He busied himself with a ritual in the room when curtains had been drawn. He planned to bring Creeping Hunger above the grey fog to study it safely. Inside the silhouette ancient palace, he appeared at the very end of the long bronze table, leaning back in his chair while holding a pair of thin gloves made by human skin. Immediately after, he closed his eyes and extended his spirituality into the object that required sealing. He immediately felt the hunger of gloves. It was as if it had a stomach that could never be filled. But above the grey fog, it was so tame that it didn't dare to let out even the slightest bit of malice. It was like a hunting dog lying there, not daring to move at all. Hold on, Red Devil. Then Klein heard the cries of indignation and groans of pain. Many distorted, hideous, and grieving faces appeared in his spiritual perception, brimming with unspeakable melancholy and madness. These faces were deeply fused with the beyond characteristics of different colors of different states. Whenever Klein's spirituality spread, it would combine with his corresponding faces and use the powers it had. This is the way to use it. Together with the help of divination, Klein made one attempt after another and figured out what the 5 souls that the Creeping Hunger could let out to grace. Why? I read that wrong. This is the way to use it. Together with the help of divination, Clyde made one attempt after another and figured out what the 5 souls that the Creeping Hunger could let out to gaze. The first was Faceless, but only had the powers to change his appearance and build. The second was Psychiatrist, so we don't need the Faceless because he's a Faceless. The second was Psychiatrist. He can make a target fall into a frenzied state, place a certain amount of psychological cues, and could simulate a dragon's might in intimidating individuals and groups and creating chaos. The third was Interrogator. It allowed the wearer of the glove to be proficient in using all kinds of weapons, become a demolition expert, and possess the ability to focus his mind and have the ability to pierce a target's spirit body. The fourth was Nightmare. R.I.P. There was only one power, which was to drag someone into a dream without being detected. However, it was unlike a Beyonder of the corresponding sequence. It was accomplished by Creeping Hunger, so the wearer could still move their bodies after... It was accomplished by Creeping Hunger, so the wearer could still move their bodies after entering a nightmare state. The fifth was Priest of Light. It allowed him to produce a halo-like effect, purifying all undead and foul creatures within a certain range. At the same time, he also had the singing ability of a bard, which could strengthen his companions as well as summon the light of holiness, which was weaker than flaring sun. Didn't he use something similar when he was fighting alongside Sharon and Merrick? We're going to tell you the volume 3 since it's one you already know. It's in the author notes. Okay, if it's in the author notes, that's cool. All right, we'll see right now. Bro, please. Not slowly. 8 hours passed. Wait, what happened? Like the sun brooch. Ah, yeah, you're right. He used the sun brooch. The limit is 5 souls, and the powers are fixed when letting them out to graze for the first time. This isn't something I can decide for myself. It's purely based on luck. Maybe there can be 3 or just 1. Klein thoughtfully sighed and said to the suffering souls, no matter what kind of people you were in the past, I will gradually free you from your imprisonment and acquire complete deliverance. In the future, the soul I graze will only come from the people who have committed heinous and unforgivable crimes. Bruh. In the future, the souls I graze will only come from people who have committed heinous and unforgivable crimes. For every such Beyonder I'll kill, I'll replace one of you and release you, regardless of whether I need their powers or not. Okay. His solemn but gentle voice echoed... That is beautiful and tragic in and of itself. His solemn but gentle voice echoed within the ancient palace. The wailing sounds quiet down, no longer writhing in a hideous fashion. Phew. Klein exhaled, opened his eyes, tapped the edge of the ancient table with his fingers, and said to himself, that's Faceless powers overlaps with mine, so it's completely useless. Once I have something to replace it with, I'll release him first. Yes, when that time comes, I can attempt to channel his spirit and converse with him. Perhaps I might receive information regarding high sequence of the seer pathway, as well as clues to the whereabouts of the mermaids. No, there's no need to wait for replacement. In a few days, I can make the attempt when I fully recover my cold. The souls corresponding to the Priest of Light should be able to complete the incomplete formula previously obtained. Furthermore, he'll leave behind the corresponding Beyonder characteristics. That way, Little Sun doesn't need to worry about his subsequent advancement. Yes. He will be the second to be released. As for me needing to feed a human soul and flesh to the creeping humber every time it's used, that's not something I need to pay attention to. I usually wouldn't use it anyway. When using it, I'll definitely be facing a terrifying enemy. In such a battle, there's no lack of lives to call. Even if there isn't, I can throw creeping hunger above the great fog and not be worried about its backlash, nor do I need to be afraid of harming the innocent. The worst outcome would it becoming unstable. Unusable. Oh my god, my brain's shutting down. Whew! I gotta keep it together. Almost there. We're almost at the finish line. Putting his thoughts away, Klein tried to use the mystical item, Creeping Hunger, to divine the formula for the Shepherd Potion, but ended up failing. He didn't divine the origins of Creeping Hunger. After that, he would provide an unfriendly existence, although he wasn't afraid of endangering himself due to the Gray's Fog, isolation, and obstruction. Doing so could likely damage Creeping Hunger. I'll consider trying that out when I no longer need it. Klein leaned forward and rested his elbows on the table. He quietly recalled the previous matters and keenly noticed a detail. After the master key was obliterated, its beyonder characteristics didn't disappear. Instead, it became dots of light, trying hard to converge. I'm sorry, can he use that for Creeping Hunger or nah? It can be assumed that the apprentice characteristics that formed in the end will no longer contain Mr. Dorsword. Never mind. In other words, such a method can be used to rid of the mental corruption inside a Beyonder characteristic. But the underlying problem is that there's no way to destroy a Beyonder characteristic, which had solidified into an item under normal circumstances. Back then, I was relying on a ritual that could allow a true god to descend. It needs the prerequisite of a large number of innocent lives. Also, once the all-black eye is shattered, the true creator's mental corruption that's hidden within it will definitely erupt. When that happens, who can withstand it? Do it above the Great Fog. As these thoughts crossed his mind, Klein remembered what could have happened at Eastborough. He hurriedly conjured a pen and paper to make the appropriate divination. After receiving the revelation, his expression sank, and slowly he leaned back into his chair. Below him, the endless gray fog floated in silence and seemingly ethereal, unchanged fashion. Audrey stood by the window, looking at the fog mixed with pale yellow and iron black, cold, rapidly dispersed. When she saw the heavy rain that was incompatible... I can't read. My eyesight's going blurry. Hold up. When she saw the heavy rain that was incompatible with the winter here, her heart felt more at ease. After an unknown period of time, she and Sissy waited for Earl Hall's eventual return home. Father, how is it? Audrey asked with concern. Earl Hall smiled warmly as he handed his coat and hat to an attendant. It's resolved, but the exact details are still unclear. My little princess, you've really helped me greatly this time. You deserve a ton of medals. That's good, that's good. Thanks to Mr. Fool's reminder, thank you to the risky investigation of his adorer, our Terror Club has once again stopped the descent of an evil god and saved the world. Audrey's heart filled with pride. Earl Hall took the towel. My eyes got spicy. I scratched myself and I had chip powder on my hand. Earl Hall took the towel from the maidservant's hand, wiped his face, and sighed. However, this time there will still be some serious casualties. To think that backland smog could become so deadly, although the statistics haven't been tabulated, I estimate that more than 10,000 people died in Eastborough, the dock area, and the factory district, although furthermore the plague... Wait, I had to change the music, right? However, this time they're doing... However, this time we're still with some serious casualties. To think that backline smog could really become this deadly, although the statistics haven't been tabulated, I estimate that more than 10,000 people died in Eastborough, the dock area, and the factory district. Furthermore, the plague is still spreading, so please try not to leave the house for the time being. More than 10,000 people. This was a statistic Audrey couldn't understand but couldn't imagine. Only on the anniversary of the kingdom's founding and during the parade would there be seen tens of thousands of people gathered together. However, this didn't stop her heart from feeling heavy as her mood suddenly turned gloomy. Damn. That's sad. Daisy stood outside her apartment watching the doctors and nurses in white coats and masks enter to carry out the bodies. She had long known the outcome. Her expression was numb and her heart was vacant. She subconsciously moved closer to the door. At this moment, the police officer in charge of the cordon stopped her. Don't go over. They want to be infected by the plague. Daisy stood there as he watched the two bodies being carried out. She saw her mother Liv hugging her sister Frazier tightly. They were carried to a cargo carriage that was wrapped in black cloth and temporarily requisited. She then watched as they disappeared in front of her eyes as a white cloth covered them. Nah, what the fuck, dude? That's so sad, dude. That was so sad. She just saw, like, her family dead. as the white cloth covered them. Fuck, I butchered that whole paragraph, and I'm so out of it. It's almost been 9 hours. Oh man, this is so good. The carriage slowly moved towards the other end of the street. At that moment, Daisy seemed to wake up from a dream. She turned around and ran at full speed, chasing after the carriage. The ground was abnormally muddy, and after the rain, she fell and got up several times, leaving her body covered in dirt. However, she was still unable to catch up with the carriage and could only watch it disappear around the corner. Daisy slowed her pace. Her body swayed slightly as He Express turned abnormally vacant. She held onto the trees by the street and started at the place where the carriage had left. Suddenly, her entire body went limp and she started weeping. Mother Frasier. The voice was soft, low, sharp, weak, and lingered. At that moment in Eastboro, the dock area in the factory district, tens of thousands of people were similarly crying out in grief. Emperor'sboro, Saudia Palace. Wearing a crown above his resolute face and thin mustache, George III sat on the throne. He stared at the Earl Palatine in front of him without saying a word. Your Majesty, the people from the 3 churches are waiting outside for your explanation, the Earl Palatine asked as sweat dripped down his forehead. Explanation: Prince Edessak was seduced by a demoness, causing him to collude with a cult and attempt to rebel. This is the explanation. His schemes were exposed and he had already died by unaliving himself. What other explanations do they need? George III suddenly flew into rage. He took a deep breath and regained his usual solemnity. I can't read right now. He told them that anyone who obtained the corresponding aristocrat's title via any means can get a seat in the House of Lords. It's property, bro. Why can't I read, bro? Easy. The scapegoat? Yeah, he was a scapegoat. The property restrictions needed for elections will be relaxed and the invalid constituencies will be removed. This is to appease the factory owners and bankers. Similarly, the National Atmospheric Pollution Council would immediately make their final statement. The relevant bill will soon be passed and the minimum safeguards and working hours will appear in the form of a law. The poor law shall be reformed in accordance with the requests. The 3 churches are permitted to send their personnel into the military. Your Majesty, the Earl Palatine was startled. Such a concession was beyond his imagination, especially the last one. George III flared up again. Tell them this. Since they want a new order, I will give them a new order. Yes, Your Majesty. The Earl Palatine didn't dare to say anything furthermore and left the palace. George III sat there unmoving for a long time as though he was a stone statue. After an unknown period of time, his expression suddenly turned gentle. We're almost there. Yeah, one more chapter, right? One more chapter? Okay, you brought this on yourself? Yeah, it has been 9 hours. I did bring this to myself. I should have split this into 2 different streams. Waking up at 1 a.m. was worth it? Thank you, son. Thank you guys for being here. All right, last chapter, right? Last chapter. It's fine. It's confirmed. We are getting a happy ending. There has been nothing bad set up. We're okay. He leaves, new identity, and we live happily ever after. All right, hell yeah. Let's freaking go, dude. Last chapter. Final chapter. Morning on December 31st at the Harvest Church south of the bridge. Emlyn White stood in the kitchen wearing his priest robes, occasionally tossing the different herbs into a large iron pot and stirring them to a certain extent. After all the prepared ingredients was tossed in, he waited patiently for another 10 minutes. Then he scooped up an ink-black liquid with a metal ladle and poured it into a glass cup and glass bottle. Hold up. Is everything updated? Yes, we're good. 48, 49, 50. Emily glanced at the empty pot and counted the medicine he had brewed. After confirming the quality, he picked up a large tray and brought the bottles of a dark green liquid to the hall. In the hall, more than half the fuse had been removed and the floor was covered with tattered blankets. Lying within them were victims of plagues who were either in deep sleep or groaning in pain. Emlyn and Father Trotsky worked together, each carrying some of the medicine, distributing it for 2 seconds. The first person in the queue was a middle-aged man with a sallow complexion. He hurriedly propped himself up halfway, receiving a medicine and drank it. He handed back to the bottle and said to Emlyn in gratitude, Father White, thank you very much. I feel much better and have some strength again. Emlyn lifted his chin and replied disdainfully, this is only an extremely trivial matter that isn't worth being grateful for. All of you are truly ignorant. With that, he sped up the distribution of the potions. After 10 minutes or so, he returned to the altar of Mother Earth and complained to Father Utrasky. The music now is really low. You should get 2 more volunteers. I lost my place. Father Trotsky didn't respond. He looked at the patients and said with a gentle smile, they should be completely healed in 2 to 3 days. How do you know? Emlyn turned his head surprised. Father Trotsky looked down at him benevolently and said, herbal medicine is one of the domains of the Earth Mother. As her believer, I do know some of the basics, even if I'm not part of the Earth pathway. Emlyn asked, I'm not interested in religion and know little about it. Although I've been copying Earth Mother's Bible in recent months, he inwardly added in a slightly resentful tone before saying, Father, I didn't expect you to accept the non-believers in the faith. Among them, only 2 or 3 of them are believers of the earth. Father Trotsky smiled without minding what he said. They are also lives in... Holy shit, he really is Chad Trotsky. You guys were right. This guy is a humble man, dude. After his crazy past, he is genuinely a humble man. They are also lives, innocent lives. Emlyn paused for a second and exhaled and said, Father, I've already found a way to resolve the psychological cube. Perhaps I will leave this place soon. Wait, why did I mention this? I was actually moved by him. What if he locks me up in the basement again? Emlyn suddenly turned nervous. Father Trotsky expressed remained unchanged as he looked down and said to Emlyn, actually, you didn't need to seek out solutions. In a little while, the psychological cube will be automatically removed and you will be free to choose whether to come to the cathedral. And he's still going to come up. He's still going to be visiting after, man. He's the GOAT, bro. Any longer and I would have become a Earth Mother's devout believer, Emlyn blurted out. Father Trotsky raised an eyebrow and said, feeling somewhat surprised, I didn't compel you to change your faith. The psychological cue I left in you was for you to return to the cathedral every day, hoping that you would be able to fully appreciate the value of life and the joy of a harvest. The only effect of the psychological cue was to make me return to the cathedral. Emlyn's expression instantly froze. Father Trotsky nodded frankly. Yes. Damn. Thank you for following, dude. We're so close to 2,000. Damn. The stream ends when we... Nah, the stream does not end when we hit 2,000, man. I'm about to sleep. Emlyn's mouth gaped as he slowly and mechanically turned his head to look back at the altar, looking at Earth Mother's sacred emblem of life, as he had become a puppet this very instant. And the evening of December 31st... In the evening of December 31st, 2nd Daffodil Street, Tingan City... Why are we with them, man? Benson entered the house, took off his hat and coat, and chuckled. I've booked second-class tickets to the steam locomotive in Backland on January 3rd. No way we ended with them, dude. No way we're gonna end it with them. Wait. Oh, man. Thank you. Melissa, who was sitting in the dining room with the several newspapers in front of her, wordly said, Benson, the air in Backland's terrible. Tens of thousands of people have died from poison and diseases caused by the smog a few days ago. In a sad and regretful manner, Benson walked to the dinner room side and said, but the 2 houses have already passed a report submitted by the National Atmospheric Pollution Council. There will be legislation to regulate the emissions of smoke and wastewater, so a new Backland will welcome us. You don't have to worry too much. Having said that, he smiled mockingly. When I came back from the Iron Cross Street, I found a lot of factory owners and their employees from Backland recruiting people. They said that due to the smog and plague, the factories there are suffering a shortage of manpower, so they're willing to promise that the working hours and minimum wage will be much better than the current standard. Heh. You think that's impossible? Melissa asked. When more and more people flock to Backland, it will be impossible unless both houses pass the corresponding laws directly. Benson spread his hands and pointed to the table. Well, it's time to receive the new year. There were 3 seats and forks and knives. Aww. 3 empty porcelain plates and 3 cups on the table. They still set up Klein's? Oh, that's so sad, dude. 3 cups, 1 for beer, 2 for ginger beer. And the evening of December 31st... Oh, no, I read that wrong. And the evening of December 31st, dressed to the nines, Audrey stood inside a lounge waiting for the start of the New Year's party. However, one couldn't see the excitement, exuberance, and joy on her face despite the... I'm getting a little emotional. Now we're almost done. And joy on her face despite the fact that she was about to become an adult. No, we don't end it with her, right? Why are we cutting back to Audrey? In front of her was a newspaper on it written, according to preliminary estimates, a total of 21,000 people... Happy ending, right? A total of 21,000 people died in the fog, and the subsequent plague took the lives of close to 40,000 people. Among the deceased were young children, healthy young men and women. Few. Audrey couldn't help but close her eyes. Just then, her father, Earl Hall, and her mother, Lady Catelyn, knocked on the door and said in unison, Your beauty surpasses everyone tonight. Darling, it's time. The queen is waiting for you. Audrey slowly breathed out and wore an elegant and beautiful smile. She then walked out of the lounge and entered the party's hall. Under the company of her parents, she walked all the way up the front of the dais, or whatever that means, and under the gaze of many, handed her white muslin-gloved hands to the queen. The queen led her to the edge of the die of something as they faced all the guests. After a short pause, the queen smiled and said, although this is a dark period in Backland's history, we still have... I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. No, I'll leave it like this. We still have a gem that can illuminate the entire city. Her wisdom, her beauty, her character, her etiquette are all impeccable. Today, I will formally introduce her to you. Lady Audrey Hall. Bang! Shut the... Why is it bang? Oh, it's fireworks. Thank God. I thought somebody shot at her, bro. Oh my God. I thought somebody just shot at her, dude. Oh my God. Bang, bang. Outside the window, the fireworks exploded into a dreamy light. On the last night of 1349, Audrey officially came of age and was presented to society. On the afternoon of January 3rd, 1350, on the out... Okay. Bro, yeah, I know. I got scared, bro. I thought those were like gunshots, bro. Fucking shit. That scared the shit out of me, dude. I was about to end stream right there. On the afternoon of January 3rd, 1350, on the outskirts of Eastborough, in a newly opened cemetery, using divination, Klein found the graves of Old Kohler and Liv. That's sad. This wasn't engraved in the truest sense of the word, but rather niche where an urn was stored. They went there, row after row, stacked above one another. Standing there, Klein saw that not only was there no photograph or epitaph on Old Collier's niche, but even his name was missing. Similar situations weren't uncommon. They were too many ownerless ashes whose relatives and friends couldn't be located. Their names, looks, and whatever experiences they had were unknown, nor did they garner the interest of anyone. They were only distinguished by the numbers of the niches. Klein closed his eyes. I'm reading that wrong. I'm sorry. Klein closed his eyes, pulled out a slip of paper, shook it into a piece of metal, and carved a word on the niche's door, Kohler. Then he added an epitaph. He was a good worker. He had a wife, a son, a daughter. He worked hard all life. Getting emotional, man. He worked hard to live. He withdrew his wrist, and with a shake of his wrist, the black-haired, brown-eyed, and emaciated Klein let the paper burn in his hands, as if it was a memorial service to all the souls residing in the area. Instead of appearing to help Daisy... I'm getting emotional. Instead of appearing to help Daisy, who had lost her mother and sister, he anonymously wrote to reporter Mike Joseph, describing the girl's predicament in detail, so as to not implicate her in official affairs. Mike had met Daisy, oh my God, I can't read anymore. Mike had met Daisy, knew about her, and had enthusiastically promoted the establishment of the corresponding charity fund. Therefore, Klein believed that he could have helped her receive more help so that she could complete her basic studies and find a stable job that could support her. Taking 2 steps back, Klein looked around, taking in the names, photos, and even the victims who had those missing. He raised his head, let out a long breath, turned around, and left the cemetery. On the steam locomotive to Backland, Melissa was engrossed in her textbooks, and Benson was soon chanting with the passengers. Shut up. No way they're gonna run. There's no way. There's no way Klein is gonna run into them on the bus. Wait, on the locomotive or train, right? Wait, what does it mean? That's a face. On the steam locomotive to Backland, Melissa was engrossed in her textbooks, and Benson was soon chanting with the passengers around him. It's too expensive, just too expensive. A whole 10 soldi, half pound. A burly man who wasn't even 30 sighed from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't buy a third-class seat or a... What seat was... I think Klein had a third-class seat, right? When Volume 2 started? Or a boat ticket recently, I would have spent all this money at all. This is equivalent to half a week's worth of my salary. Indeed, there are too many people heading to Backland after the New Year's, Benson agreed. The burly man wiped off... the music is loud, right? The burly man wiped off his heartbroken expression and said exceptionally, because they promised me 21 soldi a week, and that I wouldn't need to work more than 12 hours a day, was signed the contract. When I receive my first payment and rented a house, my wife will come to Bakerland, and she will be able to get a job. A job will pay 12 or 13 soldi a week. It said that... I'm sorry, who is this person we're talking to? It said that Backland is in dire need of help. When the time comes, we'll earn a total of over £1.50 a week, and we'll be able to eat meat frequently. Your wish will definitely be achieved. The king has already signed a bill passing the law for a minimum wage and maximum working hours. Ben sincerely wished him well before smiling. This is the land of hope. Whoosh. The steam locomotive... is that the end down there? Oh my God, I can see the end of the chapter. I see it. It's at the end of my, the corner of my eye. The steam locomotive brought countless hopeless people to Backland. The sky was still bright and the fog in the air had thinned a lot. The gas lamps on the platform were no longer lit and early. Experienced Benson protected his sister and wallet before leaving the station with their suitcases while following the crowd. Suddenly, they simultaneously felt a gaze swept past them. Tracing... No, stop. Tracing the gaze, Benson and Melissa saw a young gentleman with neat black hair and dark brown eyes. I'm gonna cry, dude. The gentleman with gold-rimmed glasses pressed his hat and looked past them into the distance. Benson and Melissa also looked away as they cast their gaze on the smoky pillars in the garden in the middle of the streets, as they looked forward to seeing the underground transportation system in Backland. Carrying his suitcase with an expression on his look, Klein walked past them with his body kept straight. This is so sad. No way, dude. He entered the departure station facing the mass of people pouring in. It's getting hard to read. Hold up. I can't even read anymore. Oh, my eye. What? Who cut the onions, dude? He entered the departure station facing the mass of people pouring into the land of hope. People filled with wonderful hopes in their hearts. It was the best of the times, was the worst of times. End of the second volume, Faceless. No way, dude. Oh, this is so good. He ran into them, dude. Oh, man. That is so sad, dude. Great job. Beast mode today. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Damn, man. Rating this volume. Hold up. Don't cry. You're gonna make me tear up. This is so good. Did I not tell you guys that there would come a point where he'd run into his siblings? Oh, shit, dude. Oh, man. I got a little emotional. I'm not gonna lie. This was a really good volume. I think volume 1 had more of an emotional ending, and this was more of like a hype ending. They're both good. This was a really good one. I gave volume 1 like what'd I give it? I give it an 8.5. It's between great and amazing. I think I'm gonna give it the same. I think it's just as good. I know it took a little longer to get to it, but the highs were so high in this volume, bro. It is crazy. The highs in this volume were so, like, godly amazing. Congrats on finishing volume 2, man. Thank you guys for joining me, man. Do you want the title meaning? I can kind of surmise what the meaning is. Faceless. One is, yes, he digested the potion Faceless, but he also became someone he wasn't. Volume 3, I'm gonna crush it. You're gonna love Volume 3? Fuck, man. It only gets better, man. How long? Like, around what point does Volume 3 end? You can be like, it ends like 650, like 700s. You can give me like the 50s. You finished the worst volume for me? Maybe because it was longer, right? It was so good. I love it. I love Lord of Mysteries. It's hard to follow. I'm not gonna lie. 7. Oh my god. It's gonna be a while. It was a leisure to enjoy those almost 9-hour streams. It was a pleasure. Thank you guys, man. 700-ish. Woo! My god. Bro, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be so good. Klein is gonna become Luffy from One Piece. He's gonna go into the Great Sea and find a singing mermaid. Check that clip. The faceless people that died in the smog. Also the faceless people. Yeah, and it's like the whole, like the ashes, right? There was no face. Oh, I didn't think about that. All the urns of the faceless, there was no pictures, right? They were all faceless. All the people that died. There were so many people that you couldn't even name them. Lord of the One Piece. So it's around 250 chapters. Okay. Damn, man. It was so good. I love this volume. Faceless, those who died did not have names attached to their graves. I sent author notes in general chat. Yeah, we're going to save those author notes. 9 hours, no way. Dude, we were live for a really long time. Rest well, everyone. GG, man. This was such a good volume. But like, I don't know if I personally preferred volume 1. Because look, I'm a simple guy. Once you start playing with my heartstrings and you get me emotionally invested, like, you leave an impression on my mind. And I think volume 1 nailed that. Like, in the final act, right? Like, when we were at Blackthorn Security Company, the whole fight with Magoose, Klein's grave, Benson in the midst of going, and, like, fucking Leonard speaking to them. It's like, all that really got me. But volume 2 had so many crazy-ass fucking fights. Even at this point, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I got also. It also didn't help that we read for like 9 hours, but I also got really lost in the fights, especially with that whole time loop shit that happened with Derek. I was not even able to piece that shit together. Hope everyone gets some good rest. Yeah, all you guys deserve some rest, man. You guys have been with me for way too long. We need to rest. I can't rate one volume over another. They're all the best in different things. Yes. And like I don't know if volume 1 is better or volume 2 is better. But like I guess like yes, volume 2 is better than volume 1. Even though it felt kind of dragged out. It wasn't dragged out. I guess it was a little bit longer, right? So the low points were kind of low, but the high points were really high. Volume 2 is better than volume 1, but I think I had more of an emotional like roller coaster reading volume 1, and I think that's what I kind of like it more. Some volumes are built different. Yeah, we'll see, man. You guys are hyping up volume 3 at 6, but we'll leave it there. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you guys really soon. All right, guys, peace, and have a beautiful day. Later, guys.